Yo, can
Hey,
you hear
what's
me?
up? Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Okay, do you
Cool.
mind if I add Kelly to this call?
Oh, please go for it. Kelly
Perfect. Where's
Jean. I'm gonna
Kelly?
grab a cigar.
Sure.
Oh,
Hey
Wait for
again.
it. Cigar really quick.
hey, what's up?
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. Oh, well, it was doing pretty good, but we kind of just ran into the shit show hour. Are you guys streaming or are y'all just
Yeah, we're streaming over
oh,
my
like
channel. So
YouTube, right?
youtube.com/JSTLK.
Oh,
We
okay.
just do this for fun.
I mean, I do. Wait, you guys are getting paid? What's
You're
up?
working your way up to KCIP. I'm guessing you'll be there pretty quick, right?
I have no idea, man. I'm like, the sad part is, and I readily admit this, I am tech illiterate. Like, I've lost that ability over time. Um, and so like I don't know. I need someone to help me. But luckily, I hired someone today, so we should be good. And honestly, I don't know if I can even say I have a community, but I will say that people have been extremely gracious. One guy made me a YouTube channel and started clipping VODs, and I haven't even paid him yet. I didn't even hire him. So there's been some help, but I need it. But how are you guys going?
Pretty good. So like last week, I know that you had made some comments about some of the things that Kelly Jean had done, and she said none of those things
Wait.
were true. And I was wondering if you guys wanted to like talk about that,
Oh.
litigate it a little bit.
Just so refresh my mind, which particular things?
I think you said that she sent like a ton of DMs to Amran, and Kelly disputes that. She says that is not true.
It's not true.
So specifically, my memory is during that post October 2022 period that you had sent a bunch of messages to her talking about the way forward and the kind of playbook that she should be running, essentially, right? I mean, that's a guy term, but like that's basically what I gathered from it, right? Are you saying that's not true or what?
Yeah, that's not true. I sent one DM, which was largely basic information for how to leave an abusive relationship, right? Because everybody was claiming this to be the case, and she was claiming it to be the case, at least by how appearances were. That was it. And I also gave her a mobile phone number of mine, so I'm really glad you didn't just open those DMs and they were there. And I didn't.
Well, I don't have her
by the way. I
Twitter
can't
like that,
delete
but yeah.
DMs on your end.
I didn't say you
That was
did.
just like Twitter glitching and deleting DMs for both of us. I can't
Maybe.
delete the DMs. You can't delete them. It just happens sometimes.
That's fine. And to be perfectly fair to you, I did not know that it was one, because I'm just going to say it was one very long message then, right? Because I had
mean,
someone,
it's a few
yeah.
paragraphs, which probably looks very long on like
Yeah.
a phone, I suppose, but that's just how Twitter looks.
Yeah, someone basically had, like one of the staffers had sent me a copy and paste, just like, and so I just assumed it was like a lot of messages strung together. But like, yeah, it was just a very long message then. I could believe that.
If a few paragraphs is very long for you, then I don't know how you manage on a day-to-day basis. All right, mate.
Listen, like in text, it was a wall of text, right? Like I was like, okay, that's a lot of fucking.
Brother,
Yeah.
you speak in the span of 3 minutes more than I've ever typed in my entire life. So I don't know where this criticism is coming from.
Oh, it's not criticism. It's high compliment.
It's very critical, actually.
Is
The
it?
things you said about me were very critical and untrue. And also skipped over the reason why there was any discourse between me and Amaranth in the first place. You seem
I
to
actually have no
imply
idea.
that I disliked Amaranth because
Oh,
Becky had
yeah.
a crush on her, which was the most insane thing I've ever heard. Especially since I've hung out in real life multiple occasions with a girl that he was in a relationship with, Becca. When she came to London, we hung out, both of us, with Redfall. Okay, I had no issue with any of the girls that Redfall dated or was interested in. And as far as I'm aware, I wasn't aware that he was ever interested in Amaranth at any point. That might have
Maybe,
been true, but I was not aware of it.
yeah, that was
And I
absolutely
thought
true.
everyone knew that she had a husband.
This is like 2016, man. No one knew anything about Amaranth. Amaranth wasn't a thing.
Right. In 2017, which was the first time I'd ever met her, I think.
You met her in
Right.
16, don't remember. TwitchCon 16.
Sorry.
I remember you. I remember Rekful. TwitchCon 2016.
No,
You don't
wasn't
remember
a
her 'cause she
TwitchCon.
wasn't Amaranth
no,
yet.
It wasn't a TwitchCon. It was another event after it was like an anime event in Los Angeles.
No, you're talking about LA Comic Con. That's true too. But like, you didn't meet her there. You just don't remember her.
I don't know what you mean. I remember the first time I met her because she came over to plug her stream on Ruffle's stream. And then
So
I
that's a
introduced myself to
misconception.
her.
That's a misconception, and that's where we can get into the crux of it. And look, I don't like. It's fine. We'll just be tasteful about it. I don't like talking about Rekful because, like, obviously, no one can really know his motives other than him. But I will just say that, like, she did not plug her stream on his thing. More so than he literally texted her. And he was texting her all day that he wanted to come and find her, but he didn't know where she was, and that he'd be streaming. He said that, and she's literally streaming at her booth. And so the only conclusion that anyone could draw is that he didn't mind her streaming while he was streaming, and thereby.
I never at any
Yeah.
point said he minded. I just said that's what she came over and did. That I'm just explaining a series of events.
Right, I'm saying that
Okay,
he was
there's
texting
nothing wrong
her,
with coming
asking
over
her where
and
she
finding the
was.
stream. I'm just saying that's what
She didn't
happened.
come over to pitch it. He kept texting her, asking her to come find him because he could not find her booth. Right, so it wasn't that she
Okay.
came to plug it. It was that he wanted.
I don't
yeah.
know what this has to do with anything, buddy. I don't like. Okay,
In what
they were
sense?
texting. What does that have to do?
No, I'm just saying that, like, firstly, that, like, it was not really like I remember you saying that, actually, like, that jogs a memory, because you mentioned that she was, like, shamelessly plugging her stream, but it wasn't that she was shamelessly plugging her stream. Rekful was endlessly asking her where she was and if she could come find him, right? Like, that's what was going on. But going back to it, you did meet her at 2016 TwitchCon. You don't remember it was Amaranth because she had like fucking 60 viewers. Also, she was dressed up as Tracer.
2016 TwitchCon.
Actually, to your credit,
Okay.
she was in full
And
cosplay
I
every
remember
time.
meeting most people. I don't.
What was her costume at 2016 Twitch?
Yeah, what was she wearing?
Tracer.
Was I dressed
Tracer?
as Mercy?
That I don't remember. Because I only saw you once, and I don't think you were in cosplay. And I didn't know who you were either.
Nick, your mic cut out.
Oh shit.
Is she wearing Tracer? Is the Amaranth Tracer cosplay?
Yeah, full Tracer. Regular Tracer, not Christmas.
Okay.
She doesn't look like Amaranth of today. I'll be honest with that one. Like, you did meet her. Y'all talked.
Asked because I was wearing Mercy cosplay for some of that event. So
You were,
it's
yeah.
likely if I run into another person cosplaying Overwatch at the same event, I would just talk to them, right?
No, yeah, I didn't mean anything by it. Just that, like, you'd met her then, and you're right. Maybe it isn't that, like, I don't know the motive, right? Because I didn't know you guys. I'm just watching the interaction, right? But it was kind of like, I remember thinking, like, it's either that or you were just like big sister Rekfuling, and like you're just kind of like not sure someone's motives, which is fair. But that was
wait. Big sister, I feel like you suggested something else, though, Nick. You might have suggested.
I assumed it was something
Yeah,
else.
also in
I assumed it was something else,
2016
absolutely.
TwitchCon, Rekful was really into ST Peach, okay? He
You
was
say
like-
that, but like
was
I
his
remember ST
objective,
Peach.
not-
ST Peach was hanging out with him all the
wasn't aware
time.
of who
Yes.
Amaranth was at this
No.
point, okay?
I know. I remember ST Peach as well. I remember ST Peach as well. The questing bullshit, right? Like, I remember all that. Like, literally, look, maybe Rekful, like I said, this is why I don't like kind of talking about it, because yes, he did hang out physically with ST Peach at the con, but like he was texting her the entire time, like nonstop. Okay, so sure, he was,
Okay, I'm not saying this
Yeah.
is a bad thing. If he was texting multiple girls, there's nothing
Yeah,
wrong
yeah.
with this. I don't know.
like but like the idea was like I have no idea what your motives are, right? All I see is what I see, and I'm just trying to interpret it through the best of my abilities. But you're right. Like, I did not say it was big sistering, but like I'm trying to be charitable to her saying that it wasn't her being indirectful, which I have no reason to disbelieve per se. And so I'm just saying that maybe it was just like a thing, because she did mention that, oh, she's just going up and stream sniping him for views, and that's not what happened. In fact, at TwitchCon 2016, which was when she was way smaller than 2017, Rekful kept trying to invite her out to stream with him, and she just was so new to it that she just wasn't sure what all that entailed, right?
Sure. I don't know what this has to do with what you said, which was I didn't like Amaranth because he had a crush on her. I wasn't even aware of. Like,
Well, so like again, I can't know the reason. I just know that like there was like multiple instances.
you know what the reason is? Because
What?
we had a conversation in that DM chain. So if you saw the other DMs, you would have seen that one. And I didn't like.
I actually did not see the other DMs.
You probably botted my Twitter. You would actively turn on a fucking bot that would like automatically like any of the tweets that any of my like active followers made at me that had, and Amaranth didn't even follow me on Twitter. This fucking bot would like dozens and dozens of tweets that were just random tweets of my active followers at me that had nothing to do with that.
So I did not
I spoke
see.
about it a couple of times, and she messaged me out of the blue at one point and said it was a quotation bad edge rank. And I don't know if it was you or her. Who knows? But you both know the reason why. I didn't like had some bad like impressions of her. Okay.
I don't know why you would think I would know. Because I only know about that one message.
You go through all of her messages and know everything, brother. That's why everyone saw you go through her DMs and then they're gone.
Wait. What? You're saying I go through all her Twitter DMs? Is that correct?
You were going to look at my DMs with her on stream, and the only reason why you didn't is because they'd been deleted. Otherwise, how the fuck would you know what the DMs were in the first place?
Because we hired people to run the social media accounts, and they let us know if there's any DMs that are notable that come in. It's not just
you. You never
you.
just read the DMs like you went to go do on that stream last week.
First of all, I don't think.
Okay, so you do. Just own it.
I don't think I was looking to go and look on the thing because
you clown.
I have access.
Just to be clear, Kelly is saying that you probably go with those notable DMs and you would feel fine reading those probably if they were addressed to Amaranth, right? Nick, I think that's what Kelly's saying.
You did it last week. Why would you not do it?
You're saying I did it on stream?
Yes, you went to go look at the DMs and then you're like, oh, she deleted them. She's smart.
I mean, I don't know why they're deleted, right?
I'm
like
just inside the Twitter fucking mainframe and can delete DMs now. Both sides of Twitter.
Well, I mean, like there's a lot of reasons why a DM can't be seen, but I agree it's not particularly easy, but it was from like what? Fuck. 3 years ago now? 2 years, 2.5 years ago?
Yeah, it's nothing I did. It's just Twitter glitches sometimes. The things are like questionable or seem like they might flag on Twitter's end. They just delete a bunch of shit. I don't know why it happens, but it does.
Maybe. Like that's possible, but like in terms of like, do I go in and just read DMs? No. Like
Nobody believes you. You both do it to each other because you're both insane. She goes through your emails, you go through her DMs. Nobody believes you on this, all right? You're both in a very unhealthy
Why the fuck would I go through her DMs?
Why the fuck would she go through your emails and accuse you of seeing escorts? Like, brother, I don't know. I don't care. But
well, I think there is like, I don't know, nearly 100 million reasons why she would do that. Like, take a gander, right? Like, I mean, she accused me of coercing her into all of her contracts, which is like, dude, for like, other than like a fucking 1 or 2 year stretch, I was not the person who either brought in the fucking potential sponsorship deals, nor was I the person who, passed them along to her to review before someone signed off, right? Like it just doesn't make any sense, but it's positionally advantageous in her eyes if we're going to get a divorce. I'm sure you can understand the posturing, right? Hell, like, you think about it, like, objectively for a second.
You could just get a divorce. Both of you should just divorce and stop being.
You want to hear the craziest part? You want to hear the craziest part?
And unhealthy.
We have a post up that it would just be like literally done, but like that's the whole thing, right? Like she, I guess, is she either posturing this or she has some desire to change it after the fact, obviously. Right? I know, right? Like I'm actually defending Amaranth here. But like, no, it's like after the fact, she wanted to change it. That's the whole thing, right? Now, if you ask me, is this a smart legal maneuver? I think it's stupid. I think it's a great billable hour sink for a very expensive lawyer. But like, regardless, that is the approach that she seems to be taking, right? Like, I do not go through her things because I don't care. Like,
Okay, but you apparently cared last week. All right, so that makes me very skeptical. I'm
that's
not likely to
it's
believe
because
someone
we
that
said
just
something,
did something,
and I was
right,
like,
that they said they would never do. No one's gonna believe you.
maybe I'm
on
wrong,
that,
but like,
right?
I assume that like you were insinuating, maybe I'm off base here, that I was like insecure and checking your DMs from like guys. It's like, that is like nuts, because that's like literally like 1,000 messages a day. Like, I would drive
Yeah,
myself
aren't
nuts.
you insecure of her? Otherwise, there was that stream where it's like, oh, she was fucking some guy in a car. Like that whole
I
stream
don't
was
know
about
if
you
that
being
would be called
insecure.
insecurity or
Let's
just.
be clear, a black guy, Kelly. Just want to be clear
I don't
on that.
know if you can call that
You're not
insecurity
real people.
versus being
Straight
upset
on.
about something, right? Like, I don't know. Like, is that insecure, or is that just like,
Yes, because she obviously wasn't fucking a dude in a car. You were being insane.
first of all, I never said fucking, but that's fine.
Yeah, okay.
I was pretty clear on what I said.
Whatever the fuck it was, I don't want to think about it, brother. I'm like, this is fucking weird.
No, I mean, like I said, yeah, look, she's had access to my email for years. I've never, like, obviously, like, other than the fact that it's my email, like, she's been, on it before and stuff like that, right? Like, at this point, like, I don't even know why she bothers, like, trying to, quote unquote, gather, like, evidence and stuff like that, because ultimately, like, she could just send herself something, even. She has, right? Like, you can prove anything. She can send herself a threatening email from my email, right? And so, like, I just don't see why that type of stuff proves anything, because she has literally sent stuff from my email to her own email, to like basically represent
The
that.
proof is like you don't trust each other. You're both not very nice to each other. You've both been nastier to each other in the span of 10 minutes than I've said about either of you in my entire life. There's nothing else that needs to be proved in this situation. I don't know what your point of yapping is. I'm just warning you now, I don't tolerate yapping like literally everybody else does. So I will just get pissed off far quicker.
Well, if you have a question, I can answer a question, but yeah, I'm not sure what.
Why would you speak so confidently about something you don't know? You spoke about me and said so many incorrect things, which are quite frankly just like damaging to my reputation for no real reason.
Well, if you think that, then I apologize. But like that
I
night,
don't think that. I know that. You made me sound like a fucking crazy person that was like spamming her with DMs, that I was making threats about how I would isolate her and ostracize her from people. That never fucking happened either. I don't know who you think I was trying to ostracize or separate her from, but that is absolute nonsense. And would go against any type of advice for someone leaving an abusive relationship. It doesn't even make sense. I wanted to give her some information and a possible contact because I'm aware in abusive relationships, the most common contacts that someone might have, they could possibly be isolated from. And if you are in an abusive relationship for a long period of time, you will lose friends, and the people around you won't want anything to do with you because of that relationship. So I offered the contact because there was a possibility that she didn't have anybody else. Okay? That was it. This was very, like, obvious, I feel. And you wanted to twist it into some weird, nasty thing that I did.
I mean, maybe it's just the way you wrote it, and like maybe if someone had talked to you in person before, they would understand that, like, oh yeah, you're giving this firm tone to show that it's important and that you care. But it just sounded like, from a read through, right, of the text, that like it was you trying to dictate the course in which she should proceed. And it just seemed weird.
That's just not true. What kind of what do you mean by dictating?
I distinctly remember, and
there's no dictation.
I can try to ask, because I know who passed it along to me, because I know who was running the socials at the time, and I can try and ask that person, but there's no like guarantee that they will have a recollection. But I do remember very distinctly reading that, like, there's part of it where you're saying you need to do these things right now, because if not, people will turn on you. And then like just on it. And it's like, to me, I read through that and I was just like, well, that's a weird it's a very perception conscious way of, or like a very optics option way of looking at a situation. Because I don't think in that moment, if it was real, right, if what she was saying was real, I don't think it would matter what the public thinks, because she's just trying to get out of her bad relationship, right? That like, it's weird that, you know, the framing of that was like to court everyone else. But maybe
No,
I'm missing
wouldn't
something.
have been what I was saying at all. Just for reference, definitely
Well,
not.
let's try
And
another
it
tact.
wouldn't have been made as a threat. Like, the point is to give someone an ability to contact someone else is to help them away from a situation where they might be isolated. It wouldn't be to threaten isolation at them. That's not the.
It was more so that you were saying that the consequence of not doing what you said, this is where I don't remember, either will or could lead to isolation, no one caring. And then I read some like boy who cried wolf thing. Like, it was a long text, man. Like again, I got it sent to me, and they didn't even really know how to respond. I don't know if you even recall getting a response, because they were just kind of like, I don't know, here, read this, right? Because she was out of contact and I didn't know how to respond, so I didn't fucking say anything.
Why was it sent to you out of curiosity and not just to Amaranth?
Because she was
Like, why was something that was about advice about how to get out of an abusive relationship sent to the person that I consider to be abusive?
Well, just because you consider me to be abusive doesn't mean that the people on the inside of the organization
I
at the time.
think that the assistant in that case did something incredibly irresponsible. And you might think from your perspective that you know that you weren't abusive, right?
Sure.
But if other people believe that, and a lot of other people believe that, it was really irresponsible for them to send it to you.
Well, that's why
right?
I didn't mention
what benefit and what reason was there to send it to you.
I think they were just, I believe that they had already reached out to her, and this is pretty frequent actually. Like, if they don't get a response from her within a period of time, like, I'm the catch-all to like be able to pass it along to her. We have this thing called a daily update that we do for her, and it just would make it to the daily update, like, oh, check your DMs. There's DMs from these people that you might want to respond or be notified of, right? I'm kind of the catch-all of like, I put this sheet of paper in front of her that gives her like kind of all the updates that are, you know, in our opinion, relevant to her interest. So like, it's just literally because I have physical access and I can just hand her a sheet of paper.
Right. So just out of curiosity, she was giving the impression that she felt like she was in an abusive relationship. She'd said quite a lot of negative things about you. Did absolutely anything change at that very point in time, or were you still doing all of the same things immediately the next day? So all of these people sending all these messages of concern, they were all fucking forwarded to you.
No.
Is that
not even close to all of them? There were a lot of people who got responses back, and I don't really want to name drop, but like, I mean, you know, people in the cosplay group who reached out to her and got responses, right? It was just like, I guess, I don't know, whoever was running it, if it's the person I'm thinking, they probably scrolled up and saw some of the other messages, if there were any, I don't know, right? And then they probably were like, I don't know how to respond to this, right? And your message was, as I'm aware of, like, most people just like reached out and said, let me know if you need anything, blah, blah, blah. I'm hoping, checking in, blah, blah. Most of them were not like long pieces of advice. It was just like reaching out and well-wishing and or asking if they could be helpful in any way, or if she needed help in any way, right? That was the vast majority. I will say that yours wasn't even that crazy relative to what happened soon thereafter, which is that a certain porn star like literally was trying to convince people to go to our house and camp out, which the simps were very, very happy to try and engage in.
Who is that? What?
I would rather not
say
say
the name. Wait, now you got to say the name. You got to say the name, or DM me the name.
Sure, I'll DM you.
I'll say it if you don't want to.
I will DM you the name.
I'm gonna say it eventually. I might not say it right now.
Yeah, don't say it right now.
Say it eventually.
Because, like, I mean,
okay.
You know what? You think? Do I care? I won't say it, but I will text it to you. No, it happened. It happened. Like, here. Oh fuck! I don't have your text. Let me Twitter DM you.
You could, okay, but you could DM me on Discord. It's not showing up on stream or anything.
Oh, sure. I'll trust that. Okay, here we go. There you go.
Okay.
She and this
Yeah, I
yeah.
can hold off.
She and this other in-person employee were doing like a lot of crazy shit. And then she did delete the tweets and stuff because I think she realized, right? But I mean, like, there was a lot of like, we gotta fucking go in person and free her shit, which is like fucking crazy because it's just me and her holed up there, and there's like occasionally media and fucking things showing up outside the house, and then cops are showing up every like fucking 30 minutes or so for wellness checks, right? And so like the idea of then also just surrounding us with like fucking people was like terrifying, right? Like just randos from online.
Well, especially random viewers and stuff.
Mhm.
I can see why that would be bad.
But the other, I would say that probably, I don't even know, to be perfectly fair to this girl or lady, it could be that the in-person, employee who was doing all this crazy shit, like, reached out to her, right? Like, I would not necessarily put it past them. And they just had an axe to grind because they were also trying to do social media stuff. But like, he was trying to treat himself.
I think that person specifically was just dealing with probably around this time, like an abuser in that sphere that they're in as well, if I remember correctly.
Oh, was it? That might be true. I have no history of that.
Some other stuff going on. There's probably just some other stuff going on.
But it was like crazy.
Anyway.
Like people showing up, like, because, you say to show up, people will show up, right? Like they might even show up without you prompting. But if you fucking, and you're like a big porn star person, you have a bunch of simpy people, and you say it, and then there's any kind of Venn diagram of like overlapping fans between them, and they're even within the vicinity of where we live, like, I mean, they're going to actually do it, right? Like, that's just like a siren's call.
Yeah, sure. Krieger, thank you for the sub.
Obviously, it's not good to do that. But I don't really think also you appreciate what the optics of that situation were. If you think that, that it was seen as okay to send that message to you is insane. I don't know if that's just that your assistant, that the assistant that was working there is just incredibly fucking stupid. I'm not entirely sure. But generally speaking, if a woman is giving another advice to another woman about abusive relationships, that message should not be passed on to the person that is considered abusive. Whether you believe to be or not is irrelevant.
Oh, sure. My belief, I agree.
That is ridiculous.
I agree that my belief on it.
I'm glad, I guess.
They weren't, but anyways, my belief on it like was irrelevant. I agree with that, right? But it was more so that this person was in the org for like when they left 7 years, right? And so they had seen it all and they knew it not to be the case, right? But at the same time, you have to understand the optics of the situation, like you said, are terrible. They could never say that, and I never expect them to speak out for me, right? Because
yes, and if nobody was going to respond to me anyway, why even send it to you? Like, what was the gain there?
Oh, I think she was just asking for guidance on whether I should put it, or she should put it on the daily update.
For both of us, right? That's all it did. That's all it succeeded in.
No, I'm saying that like
was meant to be private again, but apparently not. So it's like, yeah.
I think they were just wondering if it was, kind of worth putting on the daily update sheet for that day was the idea. And I had no idea how to even, I don't know. I don't know like how much I'll talk or not at all. I assumed almost not at all. And so I was just like, like question mark.
All right. Anyway, I think I clarified enough.
Okay. Do we have anything else we're concerned about here, Kelly? Stuff that they feel like Nick said that you weren't a fan of?
I don't know what else he said. What did he say? I doubt it was anything important. I don't know why either of you keep streaming this stuff. I don't know if it's because you're like content brained and don't realize like how negatively this affects both of you.
Oh, I know.
It's kind of bizarre.
That first fight, I tried to convince her for like an hour straight. But like, you know, at some point you're just like, okay, well, she's not going to turn it off. And like, I can see how me keeping constantly asking her for her to turn it off looks bad. And so I'm like, all right, if we're going to play optics, then I guess we play optics here. But no, I understand.
Just being the bigger person.
And doing what? What do you mean?
Is that possible? Like, avoiding her. Is that an option?
I've had this debate with like, you know, maybe you can be the devil's advocate I've been looking for here. I could do that, right? But like, are you saying that you think me avoiding it is just getting over the hump and then everything's better? Because what
I'm wondering is like, why do you care? If you're a multi-millionaire and you can do anything with your time, why would you want to do this? Do something fun. Go out with your friends. Engage in a positive hobby. Do something good for other people. Stop being a self-involved, selfish, self-centered fucking narcissist.
What? Oh my god, who the fuck is he? Just so I understand this correctly, like, we are married, right? And so your advice is go do something fun when she's...
Yes, leave the house. Go do something else. Do something positive. Do good things for someone else. Do good things for people you care about. Do good things for people you don't even know. Just do something positive that isn't wallowing in the same stupid shit that has been streamed for the last 2 to 3 weeks.
I mean, like,
I don't know why you do it. You could do literally anything else. You could get on a plane and fly to the other side of the world and fucking skydive, mountain hike. I don't fucking know what you like doing, but I don't imagine it's this, because you both look miserable.
you thought I said some comments about you that really damaged your reputation, and so you got on, and you know, we're having this conversation, right? Like, so when she sits there...
This part of the conversation is different, yes. This is my advice to you. Why do you do this? I don't understand.
I have a pretty... Like, I've given up on, like, a lot of things I never thought I'd really give up on, right? But, like...
Like what?
Holy cow, man. Spamming shit. No, like she has said publicly so much crazy shit that I've never done, right? That, like,
Well,
I do not have any...
Nick, no, most people don't know who you are, which is great. You can just go live your life and do shit that you like and care about with people that you care about. Fuck everyone else.
I
Who cares
agree.
what a bunch of fucking brainlets on the internet think when they can barely type in English? Half of the viewers are fucking jacking off with one hand and talking Turkish in the other.
I agree with you, but, like...
Russians too.
I agree with that,
Like,
but, like, the
literally,
thing is,
who
people
cares?
do know, right? People do know. Like literally, I don't want to name drop, but it's like...
Who's back?
I actually quite like that title. But anyways, like, I used to do, like, so I used to, you know, like, have dinner with Peter Thiel. Like it's not that he cares about this, but the optics are terrible, right?
Well, go have dinner with Peter Thiel and stop talking about this
Yeah,
stuff
I haven't
on
been
your
invited
stream.
back to
Go
dinner.
do fun stuff.
I haven't been invited back to dinner since 2022. We had a project in the works with Reed at Night Media, like, you know, of Mr. Beast fame, I guess, and that evaporated, right? There's tons of venture capitalist contacts that they were starting to explore the idea of us starting a fund where it's like basically like influencer IQ, where it's like, okay, like, but from a creator standpoint, which of these companies are ones that are, you know, good for creator marketing? Like, there's all this stuff that, like, was like taking it to the absolute next level for us, that, like, overnight it all evaporated. It felt like I'd spent, like, at that point, what, 7 years
Okay.
doing a
So
thing?
you lost some things because of your reputation being damaged a couple of years ago. I understand that, but you can't get that back. And being and continuing to be insane and stream it isn't going to improve your chances of connections with people, is it? It's going to simply make
Also-
more people think you're insane. So
I
why
would
would you
just ask
then
how sure you
engage
are.
in it?
Oh, sorry, I cut Kelly off. Sorry. Can you answer Kelly's question? You might have to ask again if you didn't hear it.
Just that last
If
part.
you want positive connections with people, do positive things. If you stream being insane and fighting with your wife for 2 weeks in a row, people are just going to think that you're crazy and continue to avoid you.
Maybe I'm misled here by myself, but I do want to work it out with her, right? And like the craziest thing is like you take out streaming and we're perfectly fine, right? We spent like the last 72 hours like having an absolute blast, right? But like it's the other people side of it that like kind of rubs, I guess, both of us the wrong way. Like in terms of today, right? Like she saw me kind of talking to some employees, and like I had previously asked her, I can address it, or you can address it, or we can both address it. And she said she did not want to be part of the conversation. I said, that's fine. So I'm talking to these people and she's just walking by, and like she sees, and she would dispute this, but she sees a point that like is kind of in support of her. And so she just throws it out there. But like, I'm in the middle of asking someone like, why did you do this thing? And then she's like, well, maybe they did it because of this reason. And I'm thinking like, why would you give them the reason? Because now they're going to say, yes, that's the reason. Like, I really wanted to know like why they did this thing they did. Right. And it's just like in that moment, she thought that was supportive broadly of her position. And so she took it. And it's just annoying to me because it's like, you don't have to do that for optics. Right. And so, you know, if that's the case, like she's made accusations very recently on stream that like all of her contracts, sponsorships or otherwise, are like me coercing her, which is crazy because I'm not in the chain of people unless there's a question about whether something is good or bad fundamentally to do, right? Like should we do a hashtag ad? Right? Like you're supposed to, but they don't want you to. So then what do? Right? That's the only time I get involved where I'm like, well, tell them this or tell them that.
Well, okay, you're worried about her ruining her reputation this way. Why don't you just completely remove yourself from the situation? Be like, okay, you're going to accuse me of coercing you. I'm not going to do anything with this anymore and completely walk away. Then she can't accuse you of it anymore.
Man, like, fuck it. So look, it's hard to fucking talk about this because it's public. And like, I'm not trying to put more information out there. Like,
okay.
Did you watch the 2022 thing? Like the whole call that she was doing where she was just basically going off on me.
It's been a while ago, but yes.
Okay.
I just want to clarify really quick before you go into this.
Yeah.
Did she apologize and say you didn't coerce her already? Like, is that on the record that she said, "Oh, I'm sorry for saying that"?
I actually do these things when I say I'm doing these things. So she was like, you know, I was like off the record, not on stream, like not in any way like filming it, right? And then she was very, very adamant about going to a place where there wasn't a security camera, which is very rare on our property. There's like 2 spots, master bedroom and one other place, right? In that, you know, setting, she was like, when I say that, I mean that I feel like you did it. And I was like, wait. So you're saying that it doesn't meet any kind of acceptable definition, just that you feel like this is like this, and therefore it is. Right? And that's about as much as I could get, like not even an apology, because it's like, I was telling her, like, imagine you tell someone like, when you say this, it hurts me. It hurts me like I've been stabbed. That's fine, right? You can kind of flare to the dramatic a little bit. But like if you go out and say, he stabbed me, basically, it means something entirely different. Like you can feel that way all you want, and you can talk to that person one-on-one as much as you want, right? But like once you take that into the public and you say it that way, that ain't gonna be received nearly the same way. And she has some real crazy sims.
Right.
That puts me
at this was a few years ago, right?
Oh,
Did
no.
you take any steps to distance yourself from her as a business so that you could protect yourself from these
this happened about a week ago.
Okay. But you referenced 2022 before we started this conversation. So I assume that similar accusations were made at that time point as well.
Well, I feel like people just made assumptions because it's like if you're coercing her to do sexy content against her will, then what else are you coercing her to do, right? But the idea is like...
Well, My point is, if you want to protect yourself, you need to take steps to distance yourself from anything that she can accuse you of, right? This is about protecting your reputation. You have to manage that yourself. If you're putting yourself in a situation where she can accuse you of doing negative things, and it's possible that that is partially true, if not completely true, then you're not protecting yourself.
Here's the thing, right? If we took this legally, like in terms of like, okay, like she's accusing me of this thing, right? And like obviously there's like a functional reason to do it, right? If she wants to actually challenge something that's been legally laid out and like super legit, like she would have to say, well, you know, I was coerced this one time, and therefore, like, you know, it's easy to see that I could be coerced this time too, right? That would be the motive on her end, like to basically try and undo something that was like a legal safeguard.
Do you think that you did technically coerce her once?
In what way?
I don't know, I'm asking you. Under your definition of what could be coercive, do you feel like maybe there was occasion where you were a bit coercive?
You have to understand my personality.
No, you don't have to give me the details of it. Just like in your thoughts, from your feelings, was there ever an instance where you feel like maybe you crossed the line somewhere?
Let's arrive at a definition of coercion that's like reasonable.
You can say no, by the way. I'm asking you.
I don't think so, but like it depends, right? If you're saying like coercion as in like, have you ever disagreed and then try to persuade them? Like, well, okay, well, that's a very broad definition, then yes, right? But when you say like persuading someone to do something using either physical force or threats of physical force, right? That's what I see as coercion, right? Or I guess, you know, I mean, I'm sure there's other slight definitions, but that's where I'm thinking about coercion, right? And that's crazy to me because at no point have I ever exerted physical force on her or threatened to exert physical force on her. Right? Is there another definition I'm missing here?
It doesn't have to use physical force.
So what force?
Intimidation or, you know, threats that are more minor than anything that is like necessarily not forceful. So it depends. Like, have you done anything that counts as persuasion that could be seen as malevolent in that way?
Like to me, like
yes,
it would have to be like.
Think.
Yeah, it would have to be like she's linking two separate things together because like there's times in which we'll disagree, right? But like it's never been like at a decision point where it's like I try to convince her to decide one way or the other, right? Like you got to do this or whatever. Because like to me, I know that it's impossibly hard and like pretty futile to like get someone to do something that they don't want to do, especially if it's like a contract and it's like a super long-term thing, right? It just doesn't work. And so while we will disagree on like method and approach for things, it's never been like we've disagreed on the path entirely because it's not worth the effort or the time for me to push if that's how she feels, right? Now, if she doesn't communicate it clearly, there could be, you know, us misunderstanding each other, right? But like, to my knowledge, no, like, because I don't want to pressure her into doing something she doesn't want to do on a fundamental level, right? It's even at the point where I'm willing to.
That's good and that's fine. But what I'm saying is, if that's the case, you don't feel like you're being coercive and you think that she's made unreasonable accusations against you, why do you not separate from that part of the business? You could still be together, but maybe you just aren't good in sort of that part of a business relationship.
There are times in which it was a viable option. Currently,
well, that's not now, is it? It's not currently the case. So maybe you should take steps to do that.
Sorry, I meant the viability of just handing it off to someone was possible at some point. And I want to say, I don't think so. Everyone is way too new, and I'm like actively working with them just to like, you know, like really do basic things, right?
Sure, but isn't that because you guys basically hire entry-level people? Like, obviously, there would be people who've done stuff like this who could take your place.
Hang on, that's not the issue. I think that
you
do not like... No, I don't think that you like not having control. And I'm not saying that comes from a malevolent place. I have an issue that is similar, right? I don't like other people doing things because I inherently think that they're not competent. The level of competence that the average person has, I believe, is very low. And so it makes it very critical and judgmental. I don't think you're capable of handing things off to other people because you don't trust them. But you have to, because it's like inherently damaging you, her, your relationship, and it's just a fucking horrific thing to watch. It feels like watching your streams, because I can't deal with it as much as Logistical has. I've been in Comic Con this weekend, having some fun with my friends and getting away from this. It feels like watching
All these real life friends.
dystopian Big Brother combined with Black Mirror. That's what watching your streams has felt like, okay? It's not a good feeling.
I mean, sure. Look, it's like this, right? Like, I don't even think, and I could be wrong here, but like, if she was kind of being calm, I don't think she would argue that she necessarily wants the stuff handed off in the way that, like, we're saying, especially like not right now, right? Like, or not with the current state of where people are in terms of their training or competency, right?
Well, maybe she doesn't want that, but you get to have a choice, Nick. If you don't want to do it anymore because she's inherently saying things that damage your reputation, whether she means it fully or not, whether it's true or not, then it's harmful to both of you. You both are going to need to like learn to be less controlling of those things, and it would be beneficial to both of you. I don't know. I can't make that more simple. You could be enjoying your life so much more than you are, and I do not understand why you aren't.
So, like, on a fundamental level, I'm kind of a weird person in that, like, I don't really have, like, left to my own devices, I never would have done this influencer thing because I don't like the idea of even being famous, right? I never would have started a business because I just don't feel attached to any idea in that way. Yeah.
Why did you start a stream if you hate the idea of being famous?
Because I want to see if I can do it, because I've sat there and weighed in and, you know, wrote out like all of these, like, you know, SOPs for how things I think optimally could be done. I just wanted to see, like, look, it's not even a perfect thing, right? Like, if I am able to hit like 1,000, 2,000 viewers concurrently, consistently, I feel like that pretty definitively proves I can do it because I'm just coming out the gate and doing it in a couple months, right? If I don't do it, it could be that I'm bad and I'm wrong, or it could be that, you know, I've seen a lot of streamers I've met who are very entertaining, very charismatic. They just never hit it off, right? There's like an X factor there that they're missing, and I can't solve for that. And so it could be that I lack that. It could be that I'm bad, or it could be that I know what I'm doing, and I kind of just want to know for myself, right? If I can. Does that make sense?
Sure. But like, that's the same. Wanting to know if I could do something is the same as wanting to do it, right? Like, there's not really a massive difference between those things.
Oh, I just meant in the beginning.
Like, I just want to know if I could become famous. Like, that is going to be behind a drive of wanting to be famous.
I put in 10 years of work is what I'm saying. What I was saying earlier, and I wasn't clear, was that in the beginning, when she had the idea, it was literally that I would be an influencer. And I was like, I don't want to do that. How about you do it? Right? Because she had seen that, like, I was getting a lot of engagement, and then I was running my social media, and I was just doing all of it just like I'm doing streaming right now. I didn't give a fuck about being a social media influencer. I was just having success doing something because I was curious and tinkering, right? And that's kind of the little thing that, like, started it all, which is like, I don't want to even do this. You have been trying to do this, but not succeeding. Why don't I help you instead, right? And that worked for a number of years very well, right? Because she did want to do it. But like, at some point in time, and this is me postulating a reason, the money got to a point where, I mean, it always gets to people, right? Either you feel like you have enough, or you feel like the amount that's coming in is so significant and it kind of blows up
Do
a
you
sense
feel
of,
like you have enough?
I mean, it's hard to disagree, but like, the truth is, like,
I'm asking, do you not feel like you have enough?
I feel like I do. I feel like I've had enough, like, fucking $30 million ago easily, right? Like,
Yes, definitely.
but
I mean, it's good that you think that, right?
she
Really,
has, just like how she is the one who wanted to do something in social media, wanted to do something entrepreneurial, she is also the one who has kind of ambitions to like get to a certain level that we're either right at or right under, right? And so this is like kind of the inherent layout of the conflict. It's that she really, really wants to do the thing where she buys in a temperate climate a ginormous ranch or acreage property, right? And like I map out like, okay,
But
but
you could
like
genuinely not do that now. Like you couldn't buy some land in Austin and have
Easy.
the ranch.
easy, but
Is
not
that
where she
impossible?
wants it. She wants it in a temperate climate. That's like super important because Texas is hot as fuck, right?
Where is this temperate climate? Where?
Certain areas of Colorado, certain areas right above Santa Barbara, which is fucking expensive alley, basically. I agree.
Fine.
Santa Barbara is fucking amazing, right? I don't know if it's worth the political governance you have to subject yourself to, and I don't know if it's worth the fucking cost. But like in a vacuum, yes, that's like probably the American Riviera, as they call it, right?
How expensive is it that you feel like you can't afford that right now? I'm just like, how much does a ranch cost? I'm just baffled by this as a concept.
In Santa Barbara and the surrounding areas, I mean, like 1,000 acres would probably cost you 25 plus million, right? And then like that's before you even look at like taxes, and then like
1,000 acres? How many horses are you playing?
horses are pretty stringent on acreage. I don't remember what the exact number is, but it's like a couple acres, 6 acres or some shit like that per horse or something like that. And then that's even like, but then that's before.
If it's
That's gotta be
one,
too much.
if it's for one horse, 1 acre is fine. But also, if you have multiple horses, you don't necessarily need 1 acre per horse. It depends
I think it's
on how
multiple
you
acres
set
per
up.
horse, and that's just like the rule of thumb. I could be wrong; it's Googleable, I'm sure. But the other thing is just that like when you have a big piece of property like that, generally speaking, you don't actually use all of it for horses, or it's not earmarked for horses, because there's other things that you probably need to check the box on in order to even have like a semi-favorable tax treatment, right? Like there's easements and things you have to observe, and like there's a certain amount of the land that you want to devote to like certain conservation things. It gets really complicated really fast, but like
Yes.
if you didn't have any of that, like you'd be fucking getting reamed by like all of these like taxes and various things.
Okay. So you're quite specific on like how much space you need and specifically where,
She
and that's
is.
why it's so expensive.
She
I
is.
see.
I could give.
Okay.
I'm happy where I'm at right now. Like honestly, like if we got divorced today, I'd go and buy a $500,000 house somewhere in Texas and just fucking throw my stuff there and then just go do what I want to do. Right? I don't give a fuck. Like I've overshot it by a wide margin. Okay. Like I'm like buying fucking watches because I don't know what the fuck to do.
Um, probably not my watches. Jesus. I
Why?
don't. There must be things that you care about that isn't just like this. I don't know. Like people are sad in their lives because their meaning is floundering because they're not doing good things to make them feel good. Really.
Let me tell you something that might
It's-
sound sentimental. For 10 years, 11 years almost, like her objectives and goals have been my objective and goals because I like doing stuff. I get interested in things. I do not have like this vision of what life needs to be in order for me to be happy, right? But I have a lot of willpower, a lot of energy, and I feel like I'm pretty flexible in terms of like, doing a lot of different things, just nothing tech related. So her goals have been my goals. I actually don't know what the fuck I do. Like that's a huge part of it. I was talking to some of my friends the other day. I was like, one of the biggest things is I don't fucking know what to do. Like that's like a huge deterrent to me. Like the question mark of not knowing what I would do is like probably like half the driver.
See, I have a friend that lives in Colorado, and I'm like trying to figure out how you got this cost of being 25 million.
Oh, so the magic of Colorado is that you need to be around basically like Denver or like at the least Colorado Springs because it would be hell. You could get a big piece of pretty cheap acreage pretty far out, but then you'd be driving like 6 to 8 hours to get to Denver Airport, right? And so if you want to actually be somewhat mobile, like you got to be close to Denver or Colorado Springs, and then you got to get acreage close to those, and that's like where it gets nutty.
Well, if you're buying that much acreage, then at least one end of it will be kind of close to something. Right? It's not big of a land piece.
1,000
Do you need
acres.
the
Yeah.
whole of the land to be near to something?
No, but it's like, it's deceptively actually quite small, right? Like it's big from like an ownership perspective. It's small from a geographical perspective.
Oh, if the goal is just to help horses, I feel like
Let's be
this is
honest, okay?
overthinking it
Clear,
in
1,000
insane
acres
ways.
isn't even 2 square miles.
Yeah. It's not that big, but it is big. Like it's like big for like, oh, you own this, but it's not big for like all that the sun touches is yours.
For a horse, I don't, logistical. What do you mean? Oh, it's only 2.5 square miles. Fuck off.
I said it's less than 2 square miles.
I want to tell you how many millions of houses are in the space of that amount of space where I live. Okay.
I'm just telling you, it's like that. If you're
Shut
driving around,
up.
driving on the highway, it's just not that far. Jesus
Sorry,
Christ.
the horse is needing to drive. Like,
Oh, shut up. Oh, shut up.
The truth is, I just don't know what to really do.
No.
Like that's a huge part of it. But the other part is that like the moments that aren't on stream and the moments that like aren't having to do with work are fantastic, right? I've always been a person who I kind of wanted to go through life with like almost like zero attachments, and then just like like fucking George Clooney my way through life, right? And I feel like I was on like a pretty good track for that. And then I met her, and like like her of back then is like so different than her of today. All people change, I'm sure, but like she was like the first person I met who like I felt like I could jive with well enough, and yet at the same time, I never felt like there was a game, if you know what I mean. Like it was just she just said what was on her mind, which is like incredibly refreshing after you've been doing LA Vegas for a bit. And so for me, that was like, wow, if I just keep sticking to my guns and not wanting to, get too deep in a relationship, I'm just like dogmatically, standing on something that like I have no reason to have an opinion this strongly about. And so that's why we kind of got together. And honestly, like she would say this, and this might be sad, but like on some level, I think a lot of what keeps her in this relationship, and probably a lot of what keeps me in the relationship, is still the memory of how good the 2 years were. And every kind of moment off stream is like a reflection of that.
10 years.
First two.
Okay. I feel like that is. I heard you say this before. That like you get through a bad decade, you can get through anything. And it's like you guys have been together 10 years. I hope it's not been a bad decade. But even 2 out of 10, it's like that's pretty low percentage, man.
Well,
it's pretty rough.
It was the so ironically, it was the time before she was doing streaming, and when I was the sole breadwinner with like my white collar job.
Okay, so is that? Hold on. When you say that, does that just like really go down to your feelings of like, was it just important to you? Have you thought about this at all? That it might have just been important to you to be the breadwinner of the house? Like that might just be something that you wanted to feel like it was important. Like you felt important when that was the case.
I feel like if you flip it on its head, you're kind of spot on what she feels. I feel like maybe that dynamic for her was amenable, right? For me, I mean, I don't care either way. Like I've always, like people are like, oh, would you date a doctor? It's like, like a neurosurgeon. Sure, why not? Why wouldn't I date a female neurosurgeon, right? Like I don't care that a woman makes more money than me. That's never been like an issue. But like, I was comfortable in the dynamic that it was, and she was comfortable, I guess, in that dynamic too. But that's just the backdrop.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Wait. You say this, but yet one of the things you bring up pretty consistently that I've heard you bring up is that you feel like you actually counted how many days where she wasn't ready to like say hi to you when you got home. Like I thought there was like you had a count of the number of days. Wouldn't that be the first 2 years?
Yeah. No, it was. But like that's what I'm saying. Like it was a little bit like, in my opinion, like not particularly considerate, but I was okay with it. I wasn't going to break the peace on that. It was just like surprising to me, right? But at the same time, there's a lot of contributing factors. Like she was pretty, like I said, I don't think she had been particularly well socialized by either, her parents or her peers or whatever, right? And so a lot of that in my mind was just like, this is fine. Like we can work through this. And honestly, like I said, the good times were really good. And then like everyone has gripes. That's just kind of like one of mine. But like, yeah, I don't know. Like shoot, if you have any more questions, I guess I have no idea.
I don't even think that it's this. I don't know why this is being discussed as Amaranth makes more than Nick. It seems like they've been a team in a business sense for a long time. So what she earns is what he earns, right? If
The
it's
whole
the
time.
other way around, we wouldn't say that Amaranth was contributing nothing because we know that women that give up what they do to support their husbands are doing valuable work and should be considered equal. So I don't know why this is being brought up in this sense at all.
I've never seen it that way. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Are you
mean,
trying to be
Amaranth
better?
wouldn't have. No, I'm talking to you guys. Like, she wouldn't have been successful without that support, right? So it's not.
Yeah, I've
something
never
that's-
once tried to take away like Nick's whole thing. I actually have had the same talk with people before.
All right, well, that's
I
fine.
think
It's just
that's
like the
important.
way that you brought up this conversation is beyond.
Oh no, but hold on. This is different for being the breadwinner of the family, right? Especially because Amaranth is the face of the business. I still think the same kind of feelings would apply.
Oh, well, I think the concept of a breadwinner is very outdated, so I don't know.
I'm very curious, just because I have y'all. I want y'all's opinion on this because like when I ask this question, like I can almost instantly tell if someone is like has done business things or entrepreneurial things or has worked in corporate versus if they haven't, right? Because that seems to be the divide. But I'm curious because you guys are kind of like hybrids of that. Like I'm sure Kelly has done like OnlyFans, and I'm sure you've been in the content creation space, so it's kind of like a hybrid, right? It's business and you kind of understand the optics and stuff. Fuck, I'm brain farting. Oh shit. Oh yeah. Okay. So in our post nump, it's very clearly outlined, and it's never been like a hidden thing. It's always been very, very known, right? That like going forward, if we split half of, so Amaranth is licensed to an LLC, and that LLC is owned by both of us, right? Like, or at least it will be owned by a slight majority her, a slight minority me, after we get divorced, because she needs to have the ability to kind of run, steer the ship, right?
To veto decisions, yeah.
Exactly, right? And so like, but functionally it's fair in my opinion. It's like, 51-49. And I would get basically half going forward, right? She hates that. A lot of people hate that. They think it's like her name, image, and likeness. And so I should not have continuing interest in it. Whereas in my opinion, it's like let's be honest, in my opinion, all of the value is legacy value. The future will not be nearly as good as the past. And so we're just cruising down on what was already built, right? And so I feel like it's not that crazy, even if I'm not engaged in the business at that point, that I should still get my equity split. What do you guys think?
If you were equal business partners in building this business, it's fine. If you wanted out, you could probably give her the option to buy your share of the company, I assume.
That would
I
be
don't know
what
how
I
that
would say.
would work.
Is you guys would need to have like a discussion over what the company's worth, and it sounds like you're going to say it's not worth that much going forward.
Oh no, if I was
And
in
then
this
it would
negotiation,
basically
I'd say it's worth a fuck ton. Right? Like I wouldn't
but I
fucking
mean,
yeah.
you just said the opposite. You've made your like feelings known multiple times publicly that you think this business it's like sundowning. You've
Yeah.
made that known like multiple times.
No,
I
but
understand if you're in arbitration, you would probably say the opposite, but I'm just
Yeah,
saying
I would
we've
not
seen
sell
that.
it
So I would
for-
just say it would be
yeah.
her like buying you out from your share, because like I don't think it's fair to. I get you guys have built the value. I don't think it's fair to like take the earnings. I would just say probably like I don't know. There just had to be some settlement there. I don't know what it would be.
I'd be down to sell it, but it'd have to be at a rate that was like fairly expensive, right? Because I don't need the money, right? So it's just a way of keeping score, and like half and half, I feel like is super fair. If she wants to buy me out of that, that's perfectly fine. I actually tried to tell her this, but I don't think she's bought into it. And it goes something like this: I really believe, right, that like me being motivated via still having ongoing half going forward means that like, look, if something goes wrong, and I can help fix it, I would be incentivized to do so, right? I'm incentivized to soft landing it as much as fucking possible. I'm incentivized to like provide various resources to make it a viable thing versus like, you know, if she had the whole thing, I have zero incentive, right? Like, like I said, I don't even know what all I know that she doesn't know within the business itself even, right?
Sure, that could be like hypothetically true. I just don't think I would not personally if I were just think about it like you have like a messy breakup with a founder of a company where they've like tried to get like the other founder jailed at different points. It's like okay, I just don't trust that they can put the personal aside and focus on the professional anymore. I would want that to be like split up, right? And I understand. I understand you feel like she did it to you. I'm not really here to argue that. I'm just saying that I personally totally understand why she wouldn't want you to have the stake going forward. But I think she'd have to pay you for whatever that stake is. Like you did help build the business. But it would be difficult to actually figure out what that would be. Anyway, Legally Black, thank you for the 5 gifted. Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you, thank you.
I'd be open to being bought out, but then it would throw into whack, obviously, the 50-50 of, I guess, the split of existing assets, I should say, right?
I also think it would be incumbent on you, given all of this, to actually operate in good faith until the split actually happens. So I've seen you say a couple times that like you're not going to let her hire employees or you're going to like fire people. I think you'd have to operate in this company. Otherwise, like if I were her, if you were operating in a way that was like that would like bordering on sabotage, like firing employees and not letting her hire people, I would say that she'd have the right to try to litigate away from giving you as much as possible because you'd be harming the company in some way.
Well, look,
I think it's absolutely like it's incumbent on you to act like a professional until you guys have this split in a professional sense.
Yeah, no, but like keep in mind, like that comes with it, like obviously the idea that like she isn't also doing something kind of underhanded, right? Like there's this thing where like sometimes you know, I'll tell someone in the company, hey, you know, can you figure this out for me, right? And let's say it's for my own stream, right? She will veto that and say, well, that doesn't help Isolani. Why is he having you do that? And it's like she does the same thing though, right? Like she tells them to help her find like, you know, personal, you know, like PAs, dog care people, you know, various ancillary service people, right? Like she uses the company resources, and I feel like that broadens it in my definition to like, if it's saving me or her time, it benefits Isolani because then we can apply that time to Isolani. I feel like that's just like super, super. She's like just like, you know, being very, very, very specific on the use case when it's me, but then not.
Well, I would just say this is one place where you guys are not actually equals. Is like reputation wise. Sorry, it's a little bit equal in terms of time, but like reputation wise, I think the other thing you have to understand is to Isolani, your reputation is worth like 0. Her reputation is worth everything, right? Like if one of you guys disappeared suddenly one day, the company would either still make money or it would make no more money, essentially, right? And like, I'm not saying that to minimize the contribution you put in, but I'm saying that like, obviously that's the case. And so a lot of this, where you argue to like save face on your end, you're arguing to save like your reputation at the cost of hers, and her reputation is what like the entire business operates on, right?
Wait, you think it is one of those my reputation benefits but hers would go down and vice versa? Because I actually don't think that's the case.
I think
like not on this
like
issue.
leak things or when you're like arguing with her, even this entire saga probably where anytime you're like putting your reputation on the same level as hers, that's probably harmful to Isolani, right? That's harmful to like the future earnings of Isolani if her reputation is being dragged. I understand on a human level, you're just trying to get your own personal reputation back up because you feel like you've been slandered. But in terms of the company, in terms of what ISO would be best for Isolani, absolutely her reputation staying as pristine as possible is like number one, right?
I would argue that obviously it's a little backward looking, that like if the 22 thing didn't happen, the value drivers to Isolani would not be her, right? It was the other things that we were pursuing, like the projects, the VC stuff and all that. But obviously, yes, you're right in that like, okay, ignore that today. That's probably directionally true. But even then, maybe this is me being fucking delusional, you know, or egotistical or narcissistic or whatever. But like, I don't know that even on a going forward basis, you know, give it 6 months. Is she a bigger streamer than me? I don't actually know that because and it's not because I'm not taking anything away from her ability, right? If she were right now to decide she wanted to be the biggest, most hours viewed girl on Twitch, I think she could do it. She doesn't want it though. Like literally, it sounds like I'm watching Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge. Anytime like it comes to a thing where like she doesn't want to do it, she's basically like, screw the rules, I have money. Right? Now, whether that's true or not, it's kind of like it frames it as like, so you're just gonna go back and you're just gonna like not really do anything. Not really doing anything isn't gonna cut it like it used to. This isn't like COVID era, right? And so I would argue that like I'm not so sure if that's as clear. And in fact, I would argue that there's like enough tangential things that can be done via Isolani that it just might make sense. Like if you're just looking at revenue, for instance, to like maybe not fuck around with like my reputation. Because here's the thing. The one thing I do in the org that's irreplaceable is basically I strategize in a way that's actually actionable and drives results. No one else does it. That's the one thing that it'd be hard to replace me for, right? And so I feel like me not being able to even pitch that myself because like, oh no, I can't talk to this VC because the optics, that's terrible. That's super damaging. You know what I mean?
I kind of know what you mean. I just don't think that's where most of your, like, in terms of your revenue, how much of Isolani's revenue comes from Kick streaming revenue or OnlyFans revenue?
Well, Kick streaming
Well,
revenue.
No, okay. No, I know. Just before, I don't know if you're aware, but stuff that happens on stream like heavily will drive OnlyFans, like like the buying.
I am.
Okay,
I'm asking where their actual
significant.
bottom line money comes from.
Yeah, but that's disregarding the importance of the kick streams and whatever streams doing well, because you're saying, well, the money isn't made on that platform, therefore it's not the platform you should care about. It's not really accurate.
I don't think you heard my question.
I heard your question. You said, where's most of the money made?
I said how much of it is made via streaming, via things Amaranth does solo on camera. Streaming or OnlyFans.
Yes, but I'm saying the streaming drives the OnlyFans.
Okay, so if we put them both together, what are we missing?
Well, why ask why is one more important than the other?
I think he was just positing them as two separate revenue drivers, and he's like wondering if there's anything else.
I'm basically saying that the primary revenue drivers are things where it's Amaranth on camera by herself.
So here's the thing, right? If you're looking at like last 2 years, sure, certainly. But like I generally look at things like on a forward-looking basis, right? And on a forward-looking basis, the kit contract ends in like 2 weeks, right? I don't think it'll get renewed.
Okay.
And so that's just gone, right? And so then it's just the OnlyFans, right? I won't really weigh in on what the prospects are because I think those prospects, given her plans on what she wants to do when she gets free of the contract, I suppose, is that she's just gonna not really stream very much, right? Which is perfectly great and perfectly fine, right? But like, obviously, it will impact, obviously, significantly. I guess I stop saying obviously, the OnlyFans revenue, and so that will come down. Now, this is where me and her differ. I have seen this a bunch of times because we've, obviously worked with other creators and stuff like that, and I've seen people in various life cycles of, their career, right? Everyone always thinks, okay, well, I'm just going to like stream 50% less hours and that was my top of funnel. And therefore I will make 50% less revenue. That's not what happens, right? At first it's like, okay, you drop like 50% revenue. That's expected. And then you drop another 50 and another 50 and another 50. Like momentum is so fucking huge in this. And once you start getting that very clear exodus of people without significant effort and basically entirely kind of, like restarting the career, you don't really get out of that death spiral, right?
Yeah, sure.
So like honestly, like just
it would depend. Yeah. It would depend on like what time scale you're looking at and like what's going on. Sure. Like there are other things. Like I would say, probably your channel is going to start off with a huge spike of viewership, right? And then that's going to fall off. That's not going to be a death spiral, right? That would be you normalizing to what your viewership could be, right? Like once this drama with your marriage is gone, like I would expect things to dip down and then you'd be building up from there. right? Like, obviously, there's massive content with you and Amaranth fighting pretty consistently.
I don't
There's
know.
got to
What
be
else do you think about
something healthier that can generate views that isn't the destruction of
I
the
don't want
relationship.
this for the
There's gotta
generation of
be-
views.
There has to be a new meta that is something equally stupid. We've had like fake girls being naked. We've had green screen booty shorts. There's got to be like something ridiculous coming up next. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure you'll both figure it out.
I don't want this as a like the way that we get clout. I've never wanted this. This is not like, although I can see the value driver in it, I've never wanted it, right? Like, let's just be perfectly honest. I feel like for whatever reason, you know, maybe you can speak to this, Kelly, that like she, and you know, I'm gonna generalize a little bit, don't bite my head off. And a lot of girls, they feel like inherently having an audience or a third party that sympathizes with them is like such a important thing. And I feel like that is kind of at the root of why she wants to stream it. She isn't even doing it for the views or the clout or anything like that. It's literally because she likes the affirmation, the reinforcement of people saying, yes, you're right, you're not crazy, blah, blah, blah. And it's kind of nuts because it's like, in a private conversation, me and her, I don't ever call her crazy, right? Like, it's just not like, I'll hear her out. I might not agree, but like, she can express the thing, and I won't like attack the validity. But like, it's so hard to do that when I know that like she's pandering to an audience and like trying to, you know, create these like little ammunition caches for potential future legal action. That's where it's like, okay, I can't even give you an inch on what you're saying because factually it doesn't align with reality.
Isn't this like actually why you started streaming? Because you felt like you weren't getting your voice out on her stream?
Well, I mean, okay, they both do it, right? And they,
They both do
It's
it,
just
but I'm
like,
saying
yeah,
this is
but it-
why Nick started his stream.
Okay, okay, okay.
It is,
So we
it
don't
is.
need to like point
He probably
fingers. We
agrees
can
with
just
this. It
say
is.
that they're both being unhealthy by doing this. If you want affirmation, you should
Okay.
both speak to your friends or people that you value the opinions of, not some barely legible Turkish randoms who say whatever the fuck in the fucking chat. Who knows what these people are, right?
Yeah, like, so
It's
for
like,
me,
that's not where either of you should be getting like any type of affirmation from.
look, knock on wood, if we got a divorce, right? Like, assuming she didn't do some crazy thing that makes it take like forever, which I'm not sure if is in the cards, I wouldn't care about it and I probably would never talk about it again, right? I basically make the thing I do with my stream is that I just talk about what I care about or you know, discuss or kind of explore what I care about. And that changes over time. And right now, obviously, it's dominated by the drama that is, but like, that's not the idea. Like, I'm pretty sure my people know this, and I don't have a very big community. It's just a couple hundred people, but like, they basically, I've seen them be pretty malleable. They don't all like every topic, but like, they think of it as like a smorgasbord, of things that they can sample and try at their leisure. And like, obviously, it's over indexing the relationship currently, but it's just because that's what I care about. Like, I would rather solve this than not. And I really believe, although both of you guys will vehemently disagree, that like both of us long term, right, post streaming are happier together than not.
And you'd be even happier if you weren't live streaming these fucking arguments.
I would like to try it just to see if I can do it, right? If I can hit like 2K, 3K viewers, like, I'm done. Like I mean, maybe we'll see what happens actually, right? But like, if she was like, I don't want you to stream, I won't stream either, right? Let's say she said that. I'd be like, okay, but can I hit like 2K, 3K first? I just want to know if I can do it. Like, it's just so, I've spent 10 years, 11 years. I've never spent this long doing anything, right? I feel like I can understand.
Okay, but what does that mean to you? Just hitting 2K, 3K viewers? Why? What is the purpose there? What is the gain?
Just to prove.
Prove what to who?
Sorry, she's texting. To me, really, right? Like, it's just I don't know, like, it's a terrible analogy, but like, let's say you've been coaching like fucking, kids basketball forever, right? If there was a way you could like be a kid and just actually play and listen to your own fucking thing, that'd be so interesting, right? Are you even right? Like, do you know what the fuck you're talking about? Right? And that's kind of my thing. I can actually insert myself in here and be a streamer, right? Like I can actually
but
see.
unless you were able to do it on your own by doing content that had nothing to do with Amaranth, no one's going to attribute any success to yourself. The only way for you to do that on your own would be to really go off on your own. And I don't think that that's realistically a way to get
Nick
easy
Lee's VTuber arc?
success.
Can he become a big VTuber?
But like also, no, I would just ask why it is you want that. It just seems like I don't know. It doesn't seem like a positive thing to be going for, because it seems like when you speak, you're more interested in maintaining the relationships and positive connections you had with other people in the past, and would like to do that further going ahead. I guess networking or whatever you would classify it as. And I don't think the types of streams that you're doing now will positively add to any connections and experiences you could have go forward, because they'll look at your streams and think this guy is insane. I think you kind of need to pick one thing, dedicate yourself to that, and then think about whether that's a positive thing you want to do.
I can absolutely understand, and I'm amenable to that viewpoint.
You streamed yourself naked last week.
That was an accident.
You've been a prick.
That was an accident.
Nobody likes you because of your stream and what you do.
That was an accident.
You are a plonker, okay? You probably could get 2,000 viewers, but it wouldn't be for good reasons. And you'll look back on it and feel embarrassed that you did that, and regret that you've now ruined connections you could have had with other people.
It's the first time in a month I'm Googling a word. Congratulations. What the fuck does this mean? Plonkers.
Plonker?
Okay. British informal term for
idiot.
foolish or silly. Okay. Okay. No, like, you're not wrong, right? You're not wrong. I don't know, like, I've never
Clearly
been.
you have skill in what you do. You had quite a good job before you did anything with Amaranth. When it comes to like business-minded decisions, that's obviously where you excel, right? Everything you're doing now is sort of a negative in the wrong direction. And I think it is quite directionless, because your only real goal is, I want to get 2,000 viewers. You could probably just have a ridiculous fight with Amaranth and get those 2,000 viewers.
Oh, well, yeah, sure.
Cost.
Then that's not what I mean. I've hit 7,000 before, right? Like, that's not what I mean.
Okay, so what do you mean?
Like, I want to be able to consistently turn it on and have built a community of 2,000 to 3,000 people who would like the content, which is very unfair, because like then I would probably stop. but like I just want to see if I can do it. Like, it's just, I don't know. Like, I don't know if you've ever done anything, I'm sure you have, where it's like you grind away in a certain aspect of this thing for like 11 years, right? And then you're like, I want to see like kind of what the counterparty, feels like, does like, right? Like, I mean, for me, I guess this is like a very hard to relate to example, but it's like, if you've ever worked in finance, right, there's buy side and sell side, right? Sell side is just trying to collect fees. They're just selling you whatever bullshit financial products so that, they can offload it, right? Buy side has to figure out what is worth buying. And so when you're doing sell side and you're doing all these slick sales meetings and you're doing all this stuff, it feels like, wow, like we're moving fast, we're making deals, we're making things happen, right? But then when you get the chance to switch to buy side, you're like, holy shit, every decision matters. You're not just, shooting off, blanks into the fucking night sky. You actually have to worry about like holding this on your books and the risk and all that. Like, it's just like you add another dimensionality to the game that you didn't previously have to do.
Nobody's debating that you don't know the business side of things. What we're saying is we don't really understand. You've tried to speak about it twice now, and I still don't understand your motivations for what you're doing. Because you just said now, right, that you would probably just quit after you reach that milestone. So it doesn't seem like you really want to stream because you like streaming or that you have some amazing content in mind that you really want to share. You don't seem to want to put something positive to build a positive community. You're not going to be able to get a positive community. Positive communities come from producing things that you feel proud of because they're quite good and they give some positivity back in some way, right? Otherwise, that's not how you build something. And also, you're saying, I want to build something for a superficial reason and then just throw it away when I'm done with it. Oh, I want to fuck him and make sure he loses money. Logistical, can you fuck off?
I feel like
I'm bored. Like a child.
I joke that I would give it up, but it's more so that I'd be willing to give it up if she really like didn't like the idea of me streaming, right?
No, I don't think that's what you just said at all. What you said was, when I get to this milestone, it's not fair because I'll just quit. Haha. You don't really care about the concept of a community, not really.
It's
You
basically, maybe that's my
reach
code.
a milestone that's arbitrary and quite superficial because there's not a real solid meaning behind it. It's a waste of your time. It's probably going to damage both of you negatively, and you'll have felt very hollow at the end of it.
I think that's just my cope. Like, maybe I'll take the thing and do something else with it. But like, I don't know. What else is there other than like doing something just to see if you can do it? Like, I feel like at a certain level, like materially, I have everything I've ever wanted, right? And then some. Like, I don't want for anything material. I just really, really, really enjoy getting deeply engrossed in something and then doing it, right? Like literally, I didn't give a fuck. I hated social media. But like, I'm just super curious. Like, how did I fucking grow this Instagram, blah, 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 blah. Like, it's just fun for me because I don't know what else I would do outside that. Like, I could keep making money, but like, that's like watching fucking paint dry. Like, right? Like, good investing is boring as hell. So it's just a lack of what I want to do, and I'm sure I'll figure it out.
Do you do anything to give back? Are you involved in any charitable organizations? Do you volunteer? Are you involved in any community activity? Do you do anything for your friends in this capacity? For, I don't know, your family? Is there anything you do that is something outside of yourself?
I mean, I've always been pretty generous with like when asked business advice. Like, I will not like go in there and like, you know, do it for you. But like, if someone asks me, I'll go in, shadow them for a day, and then tell them like what I think could be improved. And I don't care if they listen or not. It's just kind of like a fun challenge for me to kind of insert myself. And then for them, it's just like having someone do like essentially management consulting for free for a day, right? Or you know, a week.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what I do. I don't really give back to, well, occasionally
I'm
I'll
not
feel,
going to mock you for that like everyone else is, because I understand that you see sharing your expertise to be valuable, and I don't think it's not valuable.
So I do this thing, which like is like kind of involuntary. And I'm lagging. Okay, yeah.
Something, right? That's more something everyone kind of does a bit when they're very good at something. They're quite happy to sort of share those concepts and ideas with other people. That's fine.
So I cannot call this a
But,
charity.
like, if you wanted to, what I would suggest, if you want to build like a good community of people that care about you, you might want to try and just think about something that is like a less outside of yourself, that you could connect with other people over. So you could have a sort of meaningful community and connection with other people, rather than that way you can have those conversations with other people and prove you're not just this one-dimensional narcissistic person that other people think is abusive online. You should share another, like, the positive parts.
Hold on.
Because presumably, if Amaranth still loves you and you still love each other, there are positive aspects to both of your personalities that none of us see. Because all we see is the fucking awful stuff daily. Like, I cannot emphasize enough how fucking awful both of you look. Okay? Right? But I'm sure you both have great things to you. She cares and loves animals, right?
Mm-hmm.
That should be her primary focus. I don't know what it is that you do that's positive, because I don't fucking know, right? Find whatever it is and put that on a screen instead.
So I have this really funny little it's not funny. It's like, it's more like a thing that I feel compelled to do. It's like, for whatever reason, like Instagram always gives me like the saddest fucking pet or animal is injured and they're raising money thing, right? My thing is, if I read the post and I'm moved to tears, or at least like I feel like kind of my eyes getting red, like I joke to my chat when I do it. I'm like, hold on, I need some cocaine. I just like leave and come back. Like I'm gonna pay for whatever that bill is. Like that's my thing, right? Like if I feel that way, but like it's not a charity. It's just like whenever I see it, I do it, right? It's just like, how much are they trying to raise? Boom, done, right? Like it just feels good because it feels like, you know, I cannot help in any other way, but like, you know, this kind of resolves this pressure for this other person. They don't even know who I am, right? So I enjoy doing that. In terms of
this is a good thing. What does this have to do with cocaine? And why do you need?
Oh no,
cocaine?
I just like
Sad. I'm so confused.
no, I'm just saying like I don't want to like this is my excuse for like why my eyes are red when my chat asks, right? I just go like, yeah,
Okay.
oh no, it's nothing, it's just cocaine, right?
It's not literal because people currently think you actually do cocaine.
I don't do cocaine. Like I haven't done.
Okay. Okay.
I've never done cocaine. I kind of am curious to try, but I'm like scared I'll die of fentanyl, whatever. So like I'm just like, I don't think so. But I've done 2 drugs in my entire life. Like that's not 2 types of drugs; it's 2 times. And one of them was like the TLC thing, which was me prancing around naked, which is stupid. But like, there you go.
Yes. Okay. Anyway, well, if these are the things that make you emotional, I would, and it was probably something that you can also relate to with Amaranth. I would suggest if the ranch is too far in the distant future, maybe you both could conceive something a bit smaller and more reasonable and positive that you could do together in this vein. I don't know. But you need something positive because all the rest of this is just awful.
Like I'm gonna be honest about something, even though it like might seem slightly disparaging. Would Kate like to do an animal rescue? Yes, right? Obviously. But like I feel like, and I'm gonna be putting the words wrong, but like I feel like she's so fed up with like all the shit that she feels like she's had to do to get here that I think that's on the back burner. And she's kind of just wanting to have like the idyllic life situation she's always wanted, and then like after that's achieved, is it going to be like turning to, you know, more so something that's more giving back, right? That's truly what I think that she feels. And like, look, my thing is this, right? Like I make no design to be like this super positive, super nice, super you know, generous person. Like I've always said that like my thing in life is to kind of like enrich or open doors for everyone that I care about, be it family, friends, or like you know, family, friends, and or like, you know, I guess employees by extension, right? And like the rest of it, fuck the rest. I don't care, right? Like I don't give a fuck. Like it's just about
Yes, but the problem is, okay, when you have a fuck everybody else that isn't those very small number of people, then most people are not going to look very positively about that. If you want to build like a community of like not god awful people, you have to sort of give back a little bit in some way. How you choose to do that is up to you. But if you come across as selfish, because Justico brought this up, but like the your explanation for why it was okay to send out that message that was like, if you subscribe to if you unsubscribe to another girl's OnlyFans, send us evidence, we'll give you free content. Like that gives the impression to a lot of other people, right? That you're quite selfish people that are like trying to desperately claw when you have so much money.
Did you hear my explanation for that or no?
Dragons sitting on giant piles of gold, desperately trying to get more of it.
Did you hear my explanation for the logic behind that move?
Yes, I heard that.
Okay.
And that was because you didn't like other women getting some free advice from how Amaranth runs her OnlyFans.
No,
You
just
know how
copying
insane
posts
that is,
verbatim.
right?
No, I'm saying copying
Because
posts verbatim.
You just sat here and said that you like giving other people advice because you like passing on this stuff, but you also don't like that these girls were getting some free hints of how they should run their OnlyFans.
I don't care about free hints.
Negatively affects you in any way.
Free hints, you're right, does not bother me in any way. That's great, right? We'd previously thought about just putting out like a resource for people But
Yeah,
then
that
like,
would be great. That's a great idea.
but you realize how like literally subscribing to her page, buying PPVs, and then copy and pasting exactly what we're saying or what the post is saying or whatever, that's like terrible, right? Because then when we do it inevitably because it's our SOP, someone else is like, wait, you just copied this girl. It's like, no, we didn't copy this girl. This girl copied us. And that's like the most awkward fucking thing ever, because what they don't understand is like Amaranth was at, still pretty big now, but at one point so big that like anytime that happened, it would be caught and noticed. That's the thing. It's laziness, right? I don't mind paraphrasing, right? I don't mind learning the strategy or learning why something's done. I hate it when someone just literally, like, I've seen people emulate as close as they can everything she does in a video. It's like, this is not the reason why she's successful, right?
Okay,
yeah.
I understand why this is annoying, and it's annoying particularly because you guys did it to me, right? But I didn't know you.
So I
You were
would,
taking
if you want to, I can
advantage of
address that.
My fucking Twitter as a benefit to yourself.
I can address
but
that.
I didn't throw a fit about it. I didn't proclaim that anyone couldn't do this. I understand that copying and imitation, part of that is flattery. If you're doing well, people will obviously copy you, but the copying inherently doesn't make someone successful. Like, if someone copies your text of a DM, it doesn't suddenly make them as big and successful as Amaranth. If anything, you should take that as I don't know, if someone was copying me because I was that successful, I would probably be flattered by it, not feel the need to tear them down.
So I have insight into that. I've actually always wanted to kind of address that. So at one point, we hired a social media person who was, I didn't know at the time, but quite lazy, we'll just say, right? Or at least unoriginal. Yours was one situation that I became aware of, but there was another girl's situation where this person with their assignment just decided that they could hit, their KPI by doing something like brain dead, essentially, right? Like with you, it was, I'm assuming the idea was they're supposed to do organic interactions by just engaging with posts on Twitter. But I guess they realized that liking people who like a post or comment on a post brought that same engagement, which is true, but it's not the way that we had intended for it to be done. The second thing they did, which is super annoying, we had to apologize, even though we didn't actually do it personally, was that this person was supposed to make her a new a Facebook landing page template or some shit like that, and they just copied another successful cosplay girl's exact template and then removed her and put Kate's picture in there. And then obviously that girl reached out and was like, what the fuck? And then I was like, I looked and I was like, what the fuck to the person, right? Because I thought you could trust someone to fucking create a fucking template.
My point by saying this is not necessarily to criticize you. It's more to say you've been in that position that these other girls are. So having a little bit more grace would probably be nice.
No, I agree. And ish, because I didn't personally, I would not use something that dumb and not, I feel like that method, as you explained it, is just not a good method. The whole point was we wanted for the person to create organic interactions, and they just kind of copped out by farming for interactions by liking people like a post, right? If there was something more to that strategy, I'm missing it. But to me, that's just you're not going to build a long-term fan. It's just it's just a metrics gaming in the short run.
I mean, yes, it obviously made a lot of my followers be like, what the heck is this person?
Exactly.
Why are they
It's not
liking all these
useful.
random tweets? Yes, I'm aware that there was negative feedback on that because that's how I found out, right? But regardless of whether somebody did it for you is a bit irrelevant, really, because it wasn't explained to me at the time when I got the messages that somebody else did it. I just got sent a message saying, sorry, it was a bad edge rank. Rather than, oh, sorry, my social media manager did that. But it's a bit irrelevant, really, because I'm just saying everyone starts out, essentially, most people aren't original. We're all copying to some extent. And we're all copying the source material that is cosplay, right? So I just, I don't think doing these type of negative things, all it does is sort of isolate all of you from other people because everyone thinks you suck. Like,
Well, to be fair,
that's not really a benefit. And that was right after all of the trans stuff.
exactly.
Too,
That's the only
which
reason
is
it
just,
happened.
Like, double fuck. It's
The
like,
optics of it was bad.
Amrad, I don't think you guys hate trans people, but that was horrific PR. And then you did some more horrific PR. It was just like, why would you do that?
The idea was you can't be double canceled, so you might as well benefit from the fallout at that point, right? That like we only ran that strategy because there was already, you know, the overhang of the, you know, trans thing, and like we're like, all right, well, might as well. Like that was like
It's not really, it's not about being cancelled. This is about the opinions of sort of other people around you. This isn't like the internet or the people in the chat. It's not cancellation really. It's a negative opinion that other your like friends and colleagues and peers and other people that you might have met in the future have.
what I'm saying is she already courted that with those comments, as unfortunate as they are. And so at that point, it's just like, all right, well, you know, that ship has sailed. Might as well just throw the kitchen sink at it in the near term.
No, you must know that that's not a positive way to think. The correct decision should be to do your best to correct the record, because I think it would have been quite possible for the majority of people to be understanding in time and like know that Amaranth doesn't hate trans people.
I actually don't think that
because
that's
she would have
true.
just been able to clear herself up repeatedly going forward, and people would have accepted that.
Okay,
Doubling down on it and being just worse is not the correct way to go
so
forward.
let me paint some backdrop because I think it's kind of unavoidable at this point, right?
No, I understand that there are some people that were probably not willing to listen to you, but I'm saying there were a lot of people that would have been willing. I understand that you're going to say there are some people that were just completely not willing to listen to you. I'm sure that's true, but that's not everyone.
Well, so here's the thing, and I don't blame anyone for this. It's just like unfortunate of like the industry, social media, e-girling, whatever that we're in, right? It's that like that period of time. So look, the 2022 thing, right? Where I got canceled, right? The team and I had what do you call it? Had suspected for a while there because she would be acting, you know, what I'll colloquially refer to as loopy, right? Before that, she did that call on me. She was kind of loopy, like she was saying a lot of stuff that like kind of didn't really make sense, right? And then, as I'll allege, I didn't actually.
Is this
Yeah.
sleep deprivation?
No,
For the
it's
loopiness? What is it?
what we deduced at the time was that maybe she had quote unquote accidentally taken, you know, so she does this thing where she takes Vyvanse in the morning, but I've seen her myself accidentally take two of them because she'll take one and then like 30 minutes later she'll forget she took it. And I don't know how many times that
Okay.
repeats itself, but like
Okay,
we'll just call it two.
I take Vyvanse,
Yep.
yes, and I've accidentally taken more than one
Yeah.
as well. It has never made me loopy.
Well,
And
so
it's
you
not
can Google it. It's an actual,
induced these types
it's a
of-
pretty scary thing. No, it's a very low level percentage of people, but like the thing that like made me go, what the fuck?
Yes, but if you're susceptible to that kind of thing happening, Vyvanse is probably contraindicated and she should look to a different medication for ADHD. It's probably not good. But I guess
No,
as
yeah,
a
obviously.
psychiatrist, you should probably talk to a psychiatrist about this.
No, that's
Because
absolutely
if she's getting
true.
symptoms of psychosis or similar, then you should not be taking ADHD meds.
Right, but like in that moment, we were like this. We've seen this happen. This is a little weird, but it's hard to really pinpoint, right? And like if you go to the very last minutes of that stream where she's canceling me, like you know the assistant was like, "Have you taken your meds?" And most people took it to mean like, "Oh my god, you take your meds so you don't act crazy."
Oh.
No, it's not that.
Hold on. Now
Yeah.
as you're bringing this up, I actually totally just remembered. You said $10,000 to the first person who says what she said at the end of the stream, and I said it first.
When did you say it first?
Swallowed before you said that.
Nah.
I was hoping that someone would say it that day, not like 3 days later after I say it. Or like no, it's been more than 3 days.
No. I said it within like 5 seconds because I watched that stream. I remember the like weird camera like peeking through. I was, like,
No, there's no
checking
other-
meds or whatever.
Wait, it was just a person checking in on her, right?
Yeah.
They weren't
You saw
streaming
the
or
I'm
anything.
sorry. You see the door open.
Yeah. No, because they were like, it was, people took it as like, oh my god, they're trying to paint her like she's on meds. No, quite the opposite. We're just making sure that like because if she didn't take it, then that's ruled out, right? Like it was more so like trying to see. It's hard in that situation because you can't really, especially that person who was kind of coming up to her. They did not know what to believe because they weren't close enough to the situation to really know. So they asked that just to get some information, right? But like, it's unconfirmable if that was it. But I do know that for the trans comment, right? That was 100% confirmed. Like, she absolutely was on the whole Vyvanse psychosis at that point. And that was the first point in which I just knew for sure. And I knew because of the way she was acting. And so like in the moment though, like, and maybe this is a terrible decision, I remember asking her like, so like, obviously you did a stream during this thing, and it lasted for like 3 or 4 days, right? But like, you did a stream during this thing and you said some stuff. There's some like stuff about trans and there's also some stuff about the Holocaust. And so like, I just want to know like what you think we should do. I see there as being, broadly 2 options. One is you talk about this, thing where you have the psychosis from the Vyvanse. The other one is you just don't say anything and then you just keep rolling forward, right? And there's a method to that madness because, the question to her is like, do you care if people know? And if you care enough, then the only real way is to just kind of like, ignore and keep moving, right? As is the case for social media. Get it past the news cycle and just keep rolling. As, bad luck would have it, we got the home invasion like 3 days after that. So it was all moot. It was whitewashed essentially in terms of like the story. But like, she didn't really want to talk about the thing, right? The psychosis thing, even though like, like we're talking like she would have one-on-one conversations with people in her community and just like talk about like crazy conspiracy things, right? Like,
Yes.
like,
Okay, conspiracy slop, all right, and the AI slop and the whatever, right? But have you sought help from it now? Because I've heard that there was some therapy or something at some point, right, recently. Have you spoken to a doctor about it? Is it under control now?
Oh yeah, so she just hasn't been taking it basically, right? Or if she does take it, it's like half dose, like self-implemented, so to speak, right? Like, but like as I'm aware of, she hasn't taken it.
You could also try a different medication, right?
Ritalin, yeah. Ritalin is the only one that.
Listen, I've been following this the whole time, but why are we bringing this up? Because like, as far as I can tell, there's not an instance of her being like this on stream outside of that one time around October 2022. Like, I've never seen her like this on a stream.
Right, and then...
Well, I'd assume this... is this behavior also related to being paranoid that Nick was trying to kill her?
I suspect so, because I don't understand that one. Like, and here's the thing, right?
I'm saying, so, here's the thing. She only streams 20 hours a day, so it's possible this happens outside of this. I'm saying, I can only talk about behaviors that I've seen.
Sure.
I can't talk about, like, behaviors that have happened off stream.
So it's more so that like the day after that trans stream, she took like 3-4 days off of stream, which is like rare for her, right? And it was actually during one of the 3 days off that like the home break-in happened, right? And then we took another week off after that, right? And just kind of like hid around in random hotels just to not be at home. Those 3 days after the stream were the worst, right? They were the worst. Mm-hmm. Like those. But I knew it was loopy. Like I walked in because the staff was like, hey, she's acting a little weird. And I was like, huh, what do you mean? I walk into her streaming studio and she like greets me at the door and she's like, do you believe in God? And I was like, yeah. What does that have to do with anything? And then it was just like an inquisition of like questions about like religious stuff and religious iconography and whether I also believed, like the birds were trying to signal a message, right? And then like she said like, do you love me? Just out of the blue. And I was like, yeah. And she goes, say it. I was like,
yeah, sure. I just don't know what this is all. What is the purpose
what I'm saying
of
is
about how she's had these moments?
What I'm saying is when it's a big crash out, like it's obvious because it takes like days to kind of like wear off. And then it just like triggers itself like randomly until slowly it's done. Right. I don't know if it's possible to even do a lower level of it because she's obviously after that point, we did a thing where it's like the PA or myself, we put in a plastic bag the dosage for the day, and that's the only doses available to her, right? There have been small lapses since then, but we can't figure out why because the dosage is so controlled. With theories, and we've asked.
Sleep deprivation will exacerbate this, right? And I feel like we've seen her talk about being tired and not sleeping properly a couple of times.
Yeah, no, that's probably part of it, but like that's what we thought it was the case when she first got it, right? But like she would to sleep right after that stream for like 16 hours, and then she woke up and she was like loopier than ever, right? But obviously that could still be playing an effect. But it feels like it just takes a few days to slowly wean off the thoughts, we'll call it, right? But it's like everything that is said to her in that state, she is highly susceptible to, right? Like yeah, I mean, she saw like I had
I also would just excuse probably what happened right after the robbery. Like I would imagine some amount of paranoia or whatever right after the robbery would just be PTSD.
No, it could be, but that happened after all the loopiness was like nearing an end, right? Like we're talking like the day she started normalizing was the first day, because like I had to check up on her like very frequently, right? And the day of the robbery was the first day where she was like just spent the whole day basically not having any symptoms, right? Which right after the robbery she told me a bunch of stuff where I'm like, okay, well maybe that wasn't accurate, but it could also just be backwards rationalization, right? Dude, like there's like a conversation about fucking Drowsy the Pokemon, like right after that. I was like, what the hell does this have to do with anything, right? And then it was like, oh well, my sleep mask is by a brand called Drowsy. I was like, yes.
Yes, I remember this. What I would say is like, since then, have you been to the doctors? Like, have they like told you what is happening? Are you continuing to see them?
She has
doing an assessment of any kind? I don't.
Yeah, she's been to a doctor at least twice since, but like,
okay,
it's tough for them, like because all they have is like the anecdote. Like they kind of would want to see it, and then because there's nothing is concrete here, right? We always see is the symptom.
Sure.
I
bet you could probably show the clips that have been streamed, and she can say how she feels in the moment of those things happening. I don't think she's crazy. I think that these are things that these experiences are specific to her circumstances. Stress, PTSD, not sleeping properly, the medications exacerbating underlying issues, right? And a propensity to sit around staring at conspiracy theories and AI flop is probably not helping. Yeah.
No, yeah, like all of that for sure, but it's tough because like then how do you figure out whether like something is really her or if it's like the loopiness, right? Like other than giving it time and seeing, you can't really tell, right? And so it's tough because it's like you're either overly sensitive to it or you're like really letting it rear itself before you do anything.
You would always assume the best, in which case it's not really her, it's something else saying it, right? Okay, my dad's wife has bipolar and that has similar sort of manic and psychotic episodes to it, and she just said she's very mean out of nowhere, will say quite nasty things and is detached from reality and such, but she always comes around and comes down from it. So it's best to assume that that's the case. And the best way of dealing with it is to just be very kind and give these people space. You don't want to be arguing with them. You can't debate somebody out of being psychotic or detached or suffering from a delusion, right? You got to just be like as kind as is possible and then make the environment as safe as for them as possible.
Maybe
I know that sucks for you, maybe, if she's saying a bunch of mean stuff about you. You just kind of, if someone has a mental illness episode, you kind of just do have to eat it.
So I actually have debated her out of it a few times. And maybe like that's like anomalies. And so I shouldn't be trying to go for a repeat. like the funniest one was like at one point she was going off about Egyptian gods, right? Ra, Osiris, Horus, on and on, right? And like saying what like, oh my God, this deity is the same as this deity in this other culture that has never heard of it. Yeah.
I could go off about that stuff. Like I need to.
No. It
I
gets
understand
funny.
that
It gets
sounds like
funny.
loopy to you, but
It gets funny.
I don't have any context here, so like you can talk about this stuff, but it's like.
Well, so okay, the context is
I
that
feel
she's
like
just finished a
Well,
14-hour
yeah,
stream.
What I would say is just I would talk to someone who is a professional to get advice on how to manage this. Because even if they're not 100% sure why Amaranth is being like this, they can tell you how best to manage it. I would not rely on like your instinctual need to debate it or whatever way you manage it, because it's probably not the best way of managing it. And I'm saying that from the perspective of most people don't know how to deal with this type of a thing. Because
Sure.
mental illnesses with this type of element to them,
Well, so in this
they're not
particular
easy
case,
to manage. They're quite difficult, and certain things can make them much worse, and it can cause a certain amount of distress in the person that has it, right?
sure.
And it distresses you too, and it just makes the situation much worse. I don't know, you could just be a lot kinder to each other, I think, and manage this a lot better than you are.
It depends on the setting, right? Like where we're at. Like in this particular case, she then like was rattling off all these things about all these Egyptian, gods and mythology, and suddenly she just snuck in there and Slifer the Sky Dragon, and I was like, hold up, say that again. Slifer the Sky Dragon. What about it? Right? Like, what about it? She's like,
Wait,
and she
you
starts.
know that those are like absolutely connected, right?
Yeah, they're you. That's a Yu-Gi-Oh character though, like the Yu-Gi-Oh fucking
but
thing.
like the entirety of Yu-Gi-Oh's entire mythos.
Yeah, no,
built on
absolutely.
Egyptian like iconography, right?
But like she was trying to
I'm
be
just saying
serious.
that, like obviously they're super connected. But
No, yeah, she was trying to be serious and loop like real life instances of these things being verified because they simultaneously show up in all these cultures. And then she said Slifer the Sky Dragon. I was like, that's a Yu-Gi-Oh thing, right? Like I asked her, like, wait, say that again. I just want to make sure I didn't mishear. She said it again. I was like, okay, that's it. That's not a real thing. She goes, yes, it is a real thing. And then it was just kind of like that was like the opening, at least in that instance, where I was like, okay, explain what the significance of Slifer the Sky Dragon is, right? And then she couldn't. And I said, Google what it is. I just want you to read it for yourself, right? And she Googled it, right? And I was like, this is not real. This is fiction. Like, if you're saying that you're telling me a story and it's just fiction, that's fine, like, but like, if you're saying that this is reality, well, like, you're looking at it telling you it's not, right? And that,
hey, where were you guys when you were discussing this? I'm just curious.
we were in her streaming lounge and we were ended up Googling on her streaming PC, but it wasn't live.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
can I just ask, so
Sure.
This is a thing that's appeared in the last few years?
I can't confirm if it's appeared until late February. That's like the first, like, this is definitely a thing, right? Like, this is like, it's observed that she took too much. Like, we verified it with various long-term viewers of her stream that like, oh no, they saw her take it at this time and this time. And then we go back and we watch it. And it's like, okay, this is confirmed.
No, that's fine. I'm
yeah.
mostly just talking about these types of symptoms because there are certain conditions that tend to show about the age that she is, and I don't want to say what because it feels insulting to say it, but basically,
So here's the only thing though, Kelly. Like I would expect, given that Amaranth streams like literally on average like 15 to 17 hours a day, that like if this were like some kind of condition like that, it wouldn't just never show up once on a stream, right?
but I've watched
Like her
it.
entire life is streamed.
I've seen bits of it though. Like I saw when she started talking about the drowsy mask and accusing Nick of trying to kill her. That is not, no matter how.
That I don't believe that happened on stream.
Yes, it did. It was all discussed on
I think
stream.
it did.
That was them that you discussed on stream, but it happened off stream.
Yeah. But she was reciting it, right? Like recounting it. So it's not like I said it.
But
and she
just to
never
be clear,
confirmed.
Kelly, you are literally saying you saw this. It didn't happen.
If
You are the
she-
one who's
no.
saying right now.
Okay, firstly, don't be dismissive. They were both recounting things
Yes.
that had happened, and she's saying things with a straight face that she believed
Yes.
that she had said before.
Yes.
So she was
When
recounting
she
things.
contextualized them, they made total sense. She talked about how she was
No.
having a bad dream, and she connected it to like drowsy, and her like the video she saw on her computer.
That's
She
No,
like
that
explained what
doesn't-
she was talking about there.
that-
It made total sense.
It doesn't make total sense. No, that's nonsense.
Okay.
no, like you have to understand that like in the context, we're saying that like right after the thing, you get her to a hotel, right? After this horrific thing, right? And she's talking, and I'm being like super nice, and I'm mostly just tending to her physical, like, she had cuts and then they'd done stitches and stuff. And so I'm like, I'm wiping it off, like the blood, because like apparently when you go to the emergency thing and they give you the stitches, they don't wipe off the blood. There's like caked blood all over her, and like it was like the fucking hotel people thought we were like involved in some crime. But anyways, I was like wiping it off, dabbing it off with a towel, like a damp towel, and she just kept talking to me about drowsy and like she knew this was going to happen, the dream. And I was just like, okay, like we're just going to deal with one problem at a time because I don't know how to fucking handle the fucking Pokemon. Like, and so like it didn't make any sense. Like I feel like that was her best attempt at backwards rationalizing it, and it still kind of didn't make any sense.
Yeah. Also, I'm not saying this is necessarily as serious as it
No,
could be.
it's kind of
I'm
funny
just
most of the
saying
time.
Probably
Yeah.
you should treat it seriously, right? And make sure that it's getting treated seriously by whichever professional is looking at it. And yes, it's a problem perhaps that all you have is recounting it versus the actual incident. And that things can be understandable, right? Someone can go through extreme stress and PTSD, right? But not everyone who goes through PTSD and stress has these specific symptoms and exhibits them.
Yeah.
Right. So this is kind of annoying to suggest that, oh, this is a normal reaction. It's not normal, but it's understandable. Those are two different things.
The one thing that is like, look, I don't personally care. I'm just like slightly worried that it's symptomatic of something of what I don't know. Is that
Wait, what do you mean you don't personally care?
like the change that I'm about to mention like is not one that personally bothers me. Like I'm just like cool, that's fine, right? But like it is like notable in that like the one thing that never went back to being the way it was after that late February the trans thing was that previous to that, okay, she would probably describe herself as a Christian, but she doesn't like going to church. She doesn't want to go to church, and like it's like pulling teeth getting her to just go to like Sunday mass, you know, just to like, because her parents think it's important, right? For 10 years, I have basically been like, you should, you know, spend some time with your folks. Like you should really do this thing. It's like once a year, it's fine, right? And she would begrudgingly go, right? After that event, the loopiness stuff, right? She was dragging me to church every like Sunday, like eagerly. And like, you know, that's fine. Like that's perfectly fine. But it's like, it was just weird because it's like this person has never wanted to go and they've had all these reasons not to want to go, and then suddenly that's what they want to do, and then they're seeing like religious signs everywhere, and like, you know, like God is speaking to them in various capacities, right?
So they're seeing religious signs. Did they start watching more conspiracy theories and more religious content and stuff after this point too?
No, but like her dad is very religious. Like just as a frame of reference, like he got me into a room with this little shotgun, you know, the stereotypical thing, and he was just like, what do you think is the most important thing in a marriage? Right? He threw that question at me, and I was thinking like, okay, I got this, right? I was like, loving the other person, and he cuts me off. He goes, no. And he goes, it's that y'all both accept Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. And like, he just went off and evangelized to me. And like, I grew up Baptist, so I was just like, yes, I am familiar with this message. I just didn't realize it was the most important thing in a marriage, but sure. You know, like, so it's not that she necessarily is watching videos. It's that like her parents and growing up is like a very, very constant influence of that. And I feel like a lot of that's just kind of like coming back to the surface because this thing is kind of like, I don't know, like it's just brought up things that were not top of mind for her for like decades.
Sure. I don't
You're
think
arguing
it's...
that was because of the trans comments and not because of the robbery?
Wait, like that's when it started, right? Like it persisted obviously because that was right after. but like the
So-
religious
But
thing.
she had started dragging you to church, and then there wasn't really any.
Oh no,
change as
just
far
that
as
she
wanting
was
to go to church,
mentioning religion at every possible chance and like tying everything to it.
So it wasn't directly after the robbery, it was before the robbery.
Correct.
Okay. Well, I mean, there could be another reason why she felt the need to lean on that as a coping mechanism. It's not completely strange. It's just obviously it could become a problem. I do not know. Some people don't know how to modulate and mediate things so that they're healthy. So they either go too much into something or
Hey, it's
don't
me.
use it at all type of thing.
No, I get that. I'm that way for a lot of things.
Yeah. But again, we are not professionals. The best thing you could possibly do is, if she's not too keen on talking about it yet, maybe you should just take all of this information and get advice from a psychiatrist yourself, right? It's maybe they would give you better advice or point you in the correct directions. It's like I don't want to give bad advice.
No, that's not a bad. That's not a bad idea. But like I feel it shouldn't matter. I guess. Let me ask you something, just out of curiosity, because I'm seeking a second opinion, third opinion. I don't know. I can't ever get a straight answer out of her. She'll occasionally, when she's in a fit of rage, call me a narcissist. I don't think that's valid because I feel like if I was a narcissist, I would have wanted to be the influencer in the beginning, especially since she was expecting me to do that. I feel like me being willing to not be in the limelight for like a decade is like, no, I don't want the attention. I don't really think, but you know, I'm open to being wrong. And let me go use the bathroom real fast. But like, I'm curious to think what y'all think.
Okay.
Kelly, you ready to diagnose him? Can you diagnose him right now? I would just say that out of the things that Amaranth and Nick have said about each other on stream, Amaranth swings at a much higher percentage than Nick with the things he uses to describe her. So I'm very wary of taking any of this on faith or on his word.
About what? Sorry.
Any of this religious stuff and like how loopy she gets. Yeah, I'm just.
I mean, he's
very
not
hesitant to
saying
take it all
anything particularly cruel. She has been a bit loopy and she has been a bit religious. She's not said anything wild in that regard. We've seen loopiness and we've seen religious stuff. We've seen her listen to fucking AI religion slop.
I've watched her on a stream where she streams like 20 hours a day, not care about what was on her stream. Yes.
Okay, I'm back. What's up?
Okay, I think you're trying to cope with it there. But all right.
Okay.
All right, shoot.
Kelly, narcissism? Yes, no?
What does narcissism mean to you, Nick? And what parts of it do you think you do not fit?
I think she's talking like as close to a clinical definition as there is, because if we're talking colloquial narcissism, sure, why not? I don't know. Like I've never really felt the need to show off any. Like I actually quite like two things I quite like, which I guess don't jive with the watches. One is that I would rather be rich and anonymous than rich and well known, right? I don't like that at all. I don't like the attention from that. Like I think it's, you know, like I don't know. I just don't crave the attention or recognition or anything like that, right? I feel like what she's touching on is when I'm angry, I sometimes will make the point that essentially, you know, like this isn't just all you. Like I'm in this thing too. Like in fact, I contributed, you know, potentially a lion's share of like the work in certain categories, right? So that's kind of one thing. The other thing is just that like I don't know. Like I've never really craved other people's affirmation in that way, right? I'm kind of an introvert and a loner, really, and so it's just kind of surprising to me that is the case. But maybe I'm just totally off base on what I think it is.
Well, what I
I don't
would
think
say
like overt
is
attention seeking is necessarily part of narcissism. So, sorry, you know, I was talking over the doctor. That's my bad. God, could that sigh have been any louder? Jesus, go ahead, Kelly.
Yeah, covert narcissism isn't a diagnosis, by the way, just to cool. Okay. But anyway,
Thank you. I have not had the medical training you have had, Kelly. That's my bad.
yeah, all you're capable of being is a dick, and not a very funny one. But to have this type of disorder, and again, we're not professionals, right? The things that I would be concerned about would probably be more that I don't think that you're very empathetic towards Amaranth. And I understand that she's been a bit mean to you on occasion, but I think that if you love each other, as you seemingly do, you're quite cruel to her. And I don't think that that's typical for someone that doesn't have some kind of dysfunction there. I'm not going to say it's narcissism. There can be other reasons why there is a lack of empathy, right? The admiration and things, these grandiose parts of what makes someone narcissistic, these don't have to be in a limelight. Plenty of people are narcissistic and not famous or seek fame necessarily. That's not really requirement. It would be more of an analysis of how you are generally and in private, and sort of an observation of that.
I mean, it's a
I
thing
do think that listening to you, so the issue would be that, again, I don't know you well enough, and I'm not a professional, but when you speak about wanting certain amounts of control around things, it would depend on your motivation for that control. So if it came from a belief of believing that you're better than other people, and that their inability and incompetence is because you're much better, versus you're untrusting of other people because they've repeatedly let you down, it would depend on your motivation for the things that you do, not necessarily the things that you do.
Okay.
Yes. So I would have to ask a lot of questions.
Like, I'm assuming some of
But
that is
what
like,
I would say is a quick answer. If you don't like being seen as narcissistic, then you have to put more effort into being kinder. Okay? And not in a superficial way. If you don't like that other people call you narcissistic, then you need to work on not being those things that people perceive and associate with narcissism. I know it's hard. It's hard to be kind when other people aren't being kind to you, right? But that's a very worthwhile thing to work on.
I'll take that advice. But like, it's only her that says it in like her chat. Like in real life, and maybe just because people don't call people narcissists in real life, like I don't think another human has ever said that to me. It's just been her in her chat. Right?
Most people don't tell narcissists they're narcissists to their face, though, right? Everybody, if you've ever thought that about somebody, normally you're not telling them to their face. You just like go away, right?
What I would say is, if you're not narcissistic, okay, I'm going to ask you this as a question.
Go for it.
When you've been called narcissistic, what was your feeling and your impulse on the basis of that? Were you like immediately, no, I'm not, no, I'm not, no, I'm not? Or did you think, well, could I be? Is there a potential I am somewhat this thing? Did you go look into it and be like, oh, maybe some of this stuff I could be? Did it cross your mind as a possibility, or did you immediately dismiss it?
So I don't know if this is going to be telling, but my personality type is anytime I get negative feedback, I always consider whether it's, you know, me versus like them being biased, right? Like I always consider, well, do they have a point here? But like I will say, just for full disclosure.
Right, well, I will say that is a good thing. People that are narcissistic don't tend to ever consider that that might be the case. Okay? And I'm being nice by saying this. But what I would say is, whatever made you think that was to dismiss that feeling, what part was that? What part do you truly not believe represents you, and why?
I like if we're talking like a sense of importance on stuff, like I don't think anything I do is particularly important. And anytime I've represented it as such, it's because I'm trying to motivate someone else to, put in more effort or something like that. Like a lot of what I do is performative because I think it will work. Um, and I guess if you chain it all together, you might be able to like stitch together the belief that like, oh my God, he thinks everything is doing so important. But it's more so just I'm just trying to get whatever I need done, and I'm trying to pick the most likely way for it to happen. And a lot of the times, especially when we're in this influencer, attention economy thing, a lot of that stuff sounds like like self proclaimed grandiosity or whatever, right? But it's not. It's like if you don't market for yourself, or in her case for her, as ghostwriting it or whatever, like then what are you going to do? Like you're going to say like, oh, I'm not doing any important projects. No, you say you're doing the most important project, right? I feel like all of that is just effective marketing. It's not like actually a belief that like, holy shit, my poop doesn't smell bad, right?
What I would say is there are some disorders that look like narcissism that aren't narcissism. I don't know you well enough to know which of these things may or may not relate to you. Maybe there is nothing wrong with you and you're just not exhibiting your best self online and you look quite cruel, right? But the majority of people aren't going to see someone that exhibits a lack of empathy, especially to their partner, right? When they're going through some significant stresses in the life, like recovering from trauma, what have you. If you're not kind in these instances, people are going to associate, if not narcissism, they're going to associate you with something negative. It'll be sociopathy or something along this line, right? So if that is something that upsets you, and it's normal for that to upset you, right? People have called me narcissistic a couple of times, and I've had to say, no, I'm autistic. They're quite different. Okay, so I get it. It's upsetting when someone calls you a narcissist and you really don't think that's true. But the only way you can prove someone wrong is to not exhibit those negative traits that they so strongly associate with the negative thing, right? So I try not to be unempathetic myself, which is difficult because people are very stupid very often, right? But it's particularly important to be kind to the people that you love and you're around. People don't see the side of me because I keep my friends away from this space and I just autistically argue with people online. But I'm very, very kind to the people around me and my friends and my family. And that's important. And she's your wife. You need to be kinder.
Yeah, I would.
If you start exhibiting that, then people will start to think differently of you over time. You've got to work on those things. They're not just going to think differently overnight.
I could definitely see that because like whenever I'm online arguing with her, it's not like the base case of how I'm behaving. It's like a lot of shit has gone wrong in a row, and that's why she's streaming it or whatever, right? Like that's generally not how most interactions play out. It's just how they've been playing out lately. Because like even previous, right? Like you see the 2022 event, that's a one-off, right? Where she just for whatever reason felt that she needed to, blow it out there. But up until the shooting incident of me shooting the three home invader guys, she has also kind of observed that I'm not a public person, so therefore she won't air any laundry in public. It was only after that event where like she, I guess, felt that, well, I'm a known quantity, so why bother not airing any of it if they know I exist? That's when I feel like the wheels kind of fell off the bus, and like now it's like open season for like I can she can vent about our issues publicly. And I wish that wasn't the case. And I feel like that's been pretty damaging. I was telling my chat earlier that like I've thought about this for a while, and I think I know why she thinks the last month or so has been so terrible. And it's a combination of she's been having me on her stream a lot, and then I upplay a personality to try to be entertaining, right? And so I think that personality annoys her. That's one. The other thing is like right after the home invasion thing, for 3 or 4 weeks, I was like, I think that's the kindest I've ever been to her our entire relationship, right? Just every need catered to, everything, kind of, she wanted to talk, I would listen. She wanted to do some art, I would go and buy the supplies, right? And like, she loved that. And then eventually, when she exhibited that she was back to being normal, I went back to how I normally am. And I feel like that was incredibly jarring. And it's like she got the thing that she most wanted. And then I went back to the way that I've always been. Is why I think she feels like it's so bad, because I'm sitting here like, what are you talking about? Everything is the same it's been in the last 6 months, which have been the best 6 months of our relationship, minus those first 2 years, right? I feel like things are constantly on the upswing. They're just not happening maybe at the pace that she wants. But I really do think that like if we do step away, or at least curtail the amount of hours we spend online after the kit contract's done, that a lot of those issues will work itself out. And I've been telling her like, look, if you want to get divorced, it's like perfectly okay. But like, we've just been 10 years on a road trip to Disney. Like, I feel like we should go in the park and see what it's like, at least for a little bit. Right. And that's kind of like the situation as I see it.
Do you not feel like it's concerning that you wait till the breaking point to start doing that? Like, probably should have been some pit stops along the way.
So I agree. I've told her this for years, right? Like, I've said, you can tell me anything you're unhappy with. Like, ideally, you pick a moment where we're not fighting so that I'm receptive to it, right? And she's never once taken me up on that, right? It's kind of like the whole never greeting me at the door thing. And in fact, I've mentioned this last time too. Like, we have a safe word on stream that she's like basically never used, but she gets mad, right? And I was like, if you get mad, just say the safe word, and then like I'll understand and I'll like absolutely back off and stuff. But she never does, and so I'm just like, okay, we're doing this for content, I guess. And then it's like, oh no, she's actually fucking mad, right? But like, it's so late for me to find out, because I'm thinking like, why isn't she using the safe word? What the hell's going on? Why isn't she using the safe word? I think she just has like a different conflict resolution theory in her head, and then she just kind of discards the one I'm offering, even though like in theory she should be using what works on me, and I should be using what works on her, right? Like, just because she doesn't think it will work doesn't mean it doesn't, because I do know myself well enough to know that like I am receptive to the message if I'm not already angry and we're in the middle of a fight, because it just feels like at that point you're pointing it out in a sense of like whataboutism.
Okay, but I mean, I don't know. You can say all of that, but like at the same time, I feel like the October 2022 stuff should have been a pretty good like indicator that she wanted to stream like a lot less, right?
Well, except for the fact that like of her own volition, she started streaming a lot more.
Well, once you guys get the kit contract, right?
I would say the amount she took like a kind of a gap, and then like just did whatever she wanted for like about a month, but some of it streamed. And then after that, she kind of went back to the normal schedule. And then when the kit contract happened, she herself like stepped on the gas pedal and did it more, right? Like, there are literally days, yesterday being one of them. It happens so frequently. Like, I'm just like, can we go to bed? And she's like, I'm playing Fortnite, one more game. It's like, okay. Like 3 hours later, can we go to bed? Like, I am like, she's hit my limit, which is like insane, right? Like, of like, I'm a pretty high stamina person, but like, holy cow, like some days, like yesterday, whether she was going to bed or not, I was going to walk across and fall asleep like literally the moment I touched the covers, right? And she eventually joined me, but it's like we're at the point where like she's doing something she enjoys, which is like gaming or making money or whatever, and I'm just like, I'm hit my thing. I cannot go on today, right? So it's weird. It's that like she's kind of had a second wind with this whole thing, but I see that as ending when the kit contract ends.
Okay. All right.
Sometimes being
What else was
kind
there?
doesn't mean doing things or like going out of your way to make kind acts. Sometimes it can just be walking away if things are bad. I don't think you walk away. I think that you tend to follow her around and hound her when perhaps leaving would be a better choice.
I've told her this. It's like, if we could just agree that we don't have to talk about it now, but we will revisit it at a set time, I could easily walk away. The problem is, if I walk away and later I bring it up, she says, well, I don't want to talk about it. I thought we were done with that. It's like, well, no, I just walked away. It's not, the issue's not resolved. We just didn't engage in that moment, right? In fact, tonight it was like a bit of a loop in that at first I thought she was doing the the usual thing of like just like literally trying to brush it under the rug and forget about it. But she texted me while we were talking like an hour ago, and she was just like, let's talk tomorrow. And then just like some house related things, and then like something that she did, for me earlier, and then just I love you, right? Like that is fine. Like that is like cool. Like I won't vent about it. We can talk about it tomorrow. But that is like maybe the first time in like 10 years where like there has been at least some semblance of a plan for like, let's talk about this and resolve this eventually. Because for me, I hate it.
I think that you can make good decisions for yourself without needing to make that ask. You don't need someone to reassure you. And the reality is, if someone's very upset and not with it, potentially, let's say she might even be in the case of an actual episode, something very bad, right? She's not going to be able to give you that reassurance that you require, that you can talk about it later. You just have to have faith that you will be able to talk about it at a later point when things have calmed down, and just leave the situation yourself, right? Sometimes you have to make good decisions for you and both of you that require like that, and it's hard, right? To not get that reassurance. Okay, I get it. But sometimes you just have to do that and make those good decisions and disengage, because you'll be better off for it in the long run.
No, I agree with that. And it'll be a little easier, every additional time where this actually plays out, right? But like, coming from like it's never happened not once, it's hard to just be like, okay, maybe this time, right? I'm lucky in that like, despite her chat hating me, right, and my chat somewhat hating her, like there are enough people in the middle where they like both of us that like there is some semblance of like communication and resolution now. And it's so weird to say that, but it's just true.
Why, when it comes to resolution, why are you talking about whether your chats like each other?
Oh no, I was just saying that like,
what do your chats have to do with this?
I'm just saying that it's rare to have a person who like is sympathetic and understanding and is like kind of rooting for both of us, right? And we have enough of those that like it feels like things are, directionally going in the right direction. Right, that we're not like moving. Yeah.
Okay, so I think that, oh God, people are going to start memeing, because I'm not going to even say why. Actually,
no, I know, like
say that
Harry Styles, right?
So
One Direction.
the better situation for this is always to seek professional help, right? You shouldn't be relying on external people rooting for you. It's fine that
professional help right now, Kelly.
Fuck off. All right. It's fine that they do, and it's nice that there might be some people that are supportive of both of you, right? That is generally what you would like, right? For you to both foster communities that actually like each other. I'm not entirely sure both of you are doing that, but hopefully that will be the end result, right? But that shouldn't be what you're relying on to support the decisions that you make when it comes to improvements in your relationship. I don't know. That's a bit strange.
I agree with that. In fact, I'll just tell an anecdote, really broad stroke. Like we've been doing like some couples counseling therapy stuff, right?
Okay, that's good.
Both as a couple and also just individually. But like I've noticed that like the therapists that are very rigid on like don't interrupt each other, she hates those. The ones that let her interrupt me a little bit, like she's okay with them. And so like, but she hasn't found one that she feels like she really, really likes. And I feel like it'll end up, and I'm actually okay with this, being someone who just lets her talk over me. And I'm actually okay with that if that actually resolves the issue. But like, I don't know if she realizes like that's kind of the criteria right now. It's one that will let her kind of talk over and like jump in on what I'm saying, which is like historically in an argument without a mediator is like the thing I hate the most, right? Because I'm like, why even bother having a conversation with me if you're not going to actually let me say anything?
Okay. So you want it to be like mediated and moderated properly. I mean, that's fine. I think a good therapist should be able to do that, right?
No, I think so too. It's just like
I would just say as well, Nick, your speaking style, you do tend to go for quite a while.
yeah.
And like if I hear you say something I disagree with the first like 5 seconds into talking, it feels kind of unreasonable sometimes to wait for like 4 or 5 minutes to wait. You know what I mean? So sometimes I'm saying that as like softly as I can. You're like what you call it, verbose, right?
Yeah.
So a little bit. But
A little
so
bit.
I'd just say probably that's what she doesn't want to wait if she disagrees with something you've said. She'd probably try to point it out. Anyway.
I'm actually okay with that. It's the one where I'm like 2 words in, and then like it's like holy shit, that's not even what I was. That's the thing that you're kind of glomming onto is not what I was trying to say. It just sounds that way. Like if you do this experiment, you'd be surprised how many 2 words into sentences sound entirely different than where the sentence ends up. Right? That's like the frustration because it's like sure, cut me off halfway through. Like with you guys doing it to me, I have never had a problem with it. I think it's great. Like cut me off when I'm too verbose. Right?
You have to learn to be more concise. You can always write notes for therapy sessions if it helps. Bullet point things, especially the things that are important.
No, I mean I can see that. It's just tough because like there will be moments. It just feels like sometimes I can't do anything right. Like we were watching a movie, right? And she's like, "Can you get off your phone? Like I'm trying to spend time with you." And I'm trying to be better, so I'm like, "Absolutely." And then I just like toss my phone, into the next room, right? And then 5 minutes later, she's on her phone for 30 minutes in a row, and I'm like, "What the hell is this?" Like this is just so crazy. I was like, okay, well, what's so important on there, right? Like, because I'm open to it being like an emergency or something. And she's like, oh no, nothing. It's just like this company wants to make a pitch for me to be an investor in this AI thing. And I was like, but we know nothing about AI. Like a broad stroke, but like we have no expertise to be investing in AI, right? We have a guy who does all of our tech stuff. He might be qualified to at least understand it. So maybe we send him to this meeting instead of us going and wasting hours. Right, and we go do something that we actually want to do because I don't want to.
So I'll help you with this. So the concise way of saying this is, Amaranth asked me to get off my phone, and then she got on her phone, and I felt that was a bit unfair, which is fine. That's how you say that quickly. It's fine to say that you felt like that was unfair, and she wasn't really living up to the things she asked from you, right?
Sure.
That's the point of contention. Yes.
Yes, but it's just like that type of thing, right? Yeah, like it's not just the phone.
Yeah. That's fine. It's the phone is not the issue, right? It's what you were trying to do.
Rules for thee, but not for me, right?
Anyway, I'm very tired. Just to go and go to bed.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Good luck.
Yeah, I'm
with
probably
this
gonna
one.
hop. Well, I'm probably gonna hop off too. I was just you guys wanted to talk. You had some things you really disagree with Nick about. And Nick, unless you had like more questions, more stuff you wanted to talk about, I was probably gonna hop off.
No,
I wouldn't mind
you're good.
talking again because I do want to see sort of like I haven't watched you guys since your break, so I'd probably have some questions for you after I see some of the stuff from after you got back from your break. But I haven't watched any of that stuff yet, so I'm not caught up.
I don't think we've
And I
streamed
would
other than
ask- I
today.
would ask the therapist / doctor, whatever it is, if they think that you're narcissistic and why you might feel like that doesn't accurately describe you. Because if there is something that might help you and it's not narcissism, sometimes it helps to know
what your issues might be. And I'm not really, again, qualified to comment on it. What I would say is, when they were diagnosing me, they were considering OCPD, between OCPD and autism. And OCPD has it's far more common in men. And it's sort of difficulty delegating, perfectionism, and it's excessive focus on details and rules. And you're very stubborn and rigid. And a lack of generosity in OCPD can look like a lack of empathy to the wrong person. So what I would say is maybe just consider that there are other issues. And it's not the things that you do, it's the reasons that you do those things that dictate what your problem might be. Anyway, I'm just speculating.
No, I'm reading it right now. It reads exactly like what I would self-diagnose. The OCPD thing, because I've never.
Obsessive compulsive personality disorder. It's not like obsessive compulsive disorder. It is the personality disorder that's very different from OCD, and it's very common in men. And it looks like narcissism if in certain circumstances, right? And this might be more accurate to you. But I would talk to your doctor about it.
Yeah.
Therapist or
it's
whatever,
a good lead,
because there
if
are
nothing else.
certain frameworks that can help with these issues, because the worst part about something like this is your controlling tendencies will negatively affect you, will negatively affect her and your relationship, and will come across very negatively to other people, and may cause you problems. But again, it could be something else. I don't know, maybe you are a narcissist. I don't know. Everyone's going to freak out in the chat because I'm suggesting it's something else, but whatever, I don't care. Anyway, I'm going to bed. Good night.
Have a good one.
Okay. See you, Kelly.
Bye.
Cool. All right. Yeah, okay. All right. Cool. Yeah, I just wanted to, I know Kelly had some concerns about some of the stuff you guys talked about. Anyway, thanks for the convo, and yeah, I'll maybe talk to you another night. I have my Discord set up like with an open room as well. If you want to hop in there, but I think calling also works. So I don't know if you want to talk in the future, we could call. I'll probably, like I said, want to talk a little bit more after I catch up to where you guys are. I have no idea what's been going on.
Yeah, anytime you feel like you're curious about something or want to chat, if I'm around, I'm generally down. So it's cool. I'm still trying to figure this whole Discord shit out. So for now, I'm not engaging because I don't want to. It's just more so that I'm unfamiliar.
Yeah, that's why I said it's probably easier to call you, because then a big button pops up and you just hit the button and it's working, right?
Yeah.
Instead of getting the channels working and stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
All right. Have a good one.
Well, thanks for the conversation. We'll talk to you later. See ya.
Bye.